and one. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. Breathing in 20% more than you normally do. Breathing out 30% more. As you breathe out more, it's easier to breathe in more. And you're breathing in the prana, the life force of the universe. Tonight, our chat will be guided by our conscious awareness, our ability to be awake. Okay, a little dark. Let's see what I can do about that. Okay. How about this? How does that look? Better? Anyway, we are going to talk about ETs. We're going to talk about abduction. We're going to talk about breaking the silence. You know, there's all this whoop-de-doo chat about disclosure. And it all kind of goes to the fact of who we are. What are we? You know, are we that shadow there? Are we the monster there? Are we that guy with the glasses, you know, trying to see? So, I've been around all of this for a good 50 years. And I was around it from my birth. I just didn't notice it until I was about... I had a number of... you know, there's abduction, and then there is contact. And I've had a number of contacts. Well, the first one was when I was 4. And I was in the backyard with my mom. She was hanging up the laundry. It was about 10 in the morning. It was kind of a beautiful early spring day. The sun was out. The wind wasn't blowing. It was quite comfy in the sun. I was playing in the grass. And I saw this very shiny thing coming around very slowly the edge of our garage. And I was looking at it, and I could see my reflection. And I was more drawn to the reflection than the shape or whatever that thing was doing. I was just more looking at myself. And so, much better. And so, I'm kind of mesmerized, kind of hypnotized by my reflection in this very shiny metal surface of a, you know, ship of some sort. But it was small, you know, it wasn't really big. You know, it was, I don't know, 2 meters high, maybe 6 meters long, probably less, maybe 5 or 4.5 meters. And it was just hovering above the ground, not making any noise, not vibrating or anything, just all I was looking at was my reflection. And all of a sudden, I heard my mother scream, and I was in the laundry basket. And she was running into the house carrying the laundry basket with me in it. And instead of being 10 in the morning, It was pushing 3 p.m. And my mom kept a jug of Manhattan's cocktail in the the fridge, and she downed the whole friggin' thing. Probably a liter's worth of cocktail. And then she tried to light a cigarette, but she couldn't. I mean, my mom could light a cigarette in a hurricane, and she was scared. I never seen my mom scared. She's a Capricorn. She's always in control, and and um, you know, she was scared. And she goes, "Do you?" And she like picked me up out of the basket and like pulled my shirt off and started looking all over my body, right? And what's she looking for, right? She didn't tell me anything. And she starts saying, "You're okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay." And she picks me up and takes me into the bathroom, fills the bathtub up with water, and she puts me in the bathtub, and she's going, "You're okay, you're okay." And she gets in the bathtub with. She's all dressed. I'm just wearing, my little shorts, and she's taking my shirt off, and she's soaping us up, and she's going, "You're okay," and I kind of realized that she is actually talking. I thought she was talking about me, but no, she was talking about herself. "You're okay. You're okay." And then, you know, um, she just kept putting more hotter and hotter water until it was really steamy, and I was going, "Mom, this is getting a bit hot." And so she turned it off, and she just lied, and she put bubble bath in, and the bubbles were all over us, and we stayed in there until the water got cold. And she got out dripping wet. She took her clothes off. It's the first time I saw anybody but myself naked, and she went into the master bedroom, and she put on some clothes, dry clothes, and then she came, and had another pair of pants and another shirt and a sweater. And I didn't need a sweater, but she put that on me, and she said, "We will never talk about this." And I said, "Okay," because I didn't remember anything, you know. All I remember, it was sunny in the morning, and then all of a sudden she screamed, and I was in the laundry basket, and she was running into the house. So, uh, after that, I never had an experience like that until 20, 30 years later. But I kept meeting people who would be telling me things about myself, and that I was meant to do stuff they wanted me to do, right? Like I said, for a good 25 years of my life, well, pretty much until I was 40, but really until I was 25, people were, taking me on and sculpting me into something. And they represented some pretty amazing, powerful things, right? And so I was, your ego can be massaged, You're so great. Oh, wow, you're the best. You're going to be doing something amazing. And there was a part of me that I was like very flexible to whatever their wishes were, because I was interested in understanding and studying and being as smart as they were and have access to the things they had. And so I basically, but when it would ever come for me to like drink the Kool-Aid and take the oaths, I wouldn't do it. There was something inside of me that said no, right? And there were many times in that period, and then up until I was 40, that I had the opportunity to join things that I would be a zillionaire. I'd be, when I worked at the UN and the NGO, when I worked in a lot of these non-profits, when I worked for, in the national laboratories and in universities, and, I had opportunities, many, 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 to be, join the club, and I never did. And so, but you know, Billy Kluver at the Council for Foreign Relations in his little laboratory, which was called Automation House. And I mean, he in the 1960s had the first hologram I ever saw, and it sure was a lot groovier than all the other. I mean, he had moving like a television hologram in '69. But they don't even have that now anyway. I mean, I've seen it in other places, but nothing as good as he had. And he had computation machines that were, kind of AI. And he had access to, you know, electrical transducers and transformers and power supplies. And along with Grandpa Stahl, he's the guy who really showed me about scalar technology and amplifiers and transformers and tester things and torsion fields, which is basically gravimagnetics and antimatter, and 0 point energy. This is like 1968, 69, and its connection to psychology and the paranormal, right? And yep, yeah, we're going to be at this for a while, so everyone just get comfortable. I'm just warming up. And I started out with a little shamanic, energetic ceremony in the first minute or so before you guys showed up. And what I want this evening is, as I tell stories, I kind of want you guys to chime in with what you've experienced. Because what I want to do, you're all over the world. And so I want you to, we are, this collective, right, of ascending souls, right? And we are on the path. We're not distracted. We are not, addicted to convenience or comfort or belief. We have a strong ability to suspend our disbelief so we can look at what's going on. Like, look at the little ghost behind me. Yeah, that's this little Halloween toy I have, but that ghost is really there, right? See the light on me? That is really my shamanic energetic field, And I am slowly turning this into something that you can use your suspension of disbelief and go, uh-oh, or wow, or my God, look at that, that's great. You will see things in it that are really there that most people would say, I can't see anything. Exactly. We're all pumping up the antenna, and the more we do this, and like I said, we can't fight City Hall. We can't, all of the political crap, all the, environmental crap, all of that is illusion. Love is the only truth, and not the kind of love that, within the UFO contactee kind of scene. I mean, back in the day, I was part of this Alice Bailey crew, and everyone, channeled. I mean, everyone can channel, it's just when if you can suspend your disbelief, you can see and be anywhere, right? That is the level of our minds. And what has happened in the last 16,000 years, we have animals that we have domesticated. Well, we have been domesticated too, and we have to learn to be, our forefathers, the Neanderthals. They had bigger brains. They had, they were much better species than we are. We are just mud puppets, you know, ugly bags of water. Those guys were real, you know. They were the artist in the first person. And that's, the aesthetics that we have to embrace. That of the, as they would call them, back in the day, the indigenous folk of this continent, in Mexico and Central America and South America, were called savages. The real savages were the Europeans, who had a business model rather than a soul, you know? And that's kind of what we have to, get back is our soul, because the only way we can ascend is when we are awake and connected to our superconscious mind, which is our higher self, right above my head there. Sure as shit. It was a picture of Joni every time at the... See, we are, all of these, I tell you these stories, right, as the griot, and what do? They synchronistically connect you to this energy force. And you are given these very interesting little tidbits to say, see, like this morning, I was talking about something, and it hit me like a sledgehammer in the head, in that about 3 weeks ago, I had a dream about being in the restaurant that I was this morning and saying exactly what I was saying and then correcting myself. It was like, and it's you guys, we are doing this together. It's not just me or Sensei Al Bob. It's you guys too. And the fact that we're all over the planet, we are, this energy is being carried through the depths of all of the energetic fields. And even though, what, I gave this speech at the UN in 1982, and I was supposed to talk about the economics of alternative technology, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of threw and it was like a speech I had to write, and it had to be okayed by the guy from the General Assembly, so I wouldn't say anything. Well, I got up on stage. What are they going to do? Shoot me? No. I throw the paper. I said, I was going to read you the speech, but no. And I gave I said, okay, everyone breathe deep, and I started to have them visualize the world that I've seen, the energetic world of high voltage frequency, of scalar frequency. And just like this little light show, this is a metaphor representation of that energetic field. And you guys are in it, and everything you're saying is a metaphor to the understanding. You're letting go of your, I can't believe in this. As I'm talking, that face above me is turning into, an energetic thing from another dimension. And each of you has your own view of what it is, and it's representing something important to each of you. And and you're feeling the energy you see on my face. You're feeling it in your body, right? You're there right now, and you're all over the world. So in a lot of ways, this is way better than if you're going to come to the deep green because it's so beautiful, so nice, the waterfall, everything about it. The community that we can have there, that'll be nice. And we'll go from there, because this winter's going to be tough, right? And hopefully I don't get thrown under the bus again, and because that wouldn't be good. I have no place to go. And but I have to navigate that, and the universe is always taking care of me. It just gets a little more creative. But every time, that's what's going on with the human race. The human race is not stepping up. So the universe is pushing the human race into the corner. And humanity doesn't seem like right now we really are a bunch of sheeple. We have been ridiculously, and we're being readied for the slaughter. If my computations are right, and other people's work that I'm looking at is right, we are sliding down a very steep, snowy slope into an ice age that will be upon us in 3 or 4 years. And each year that goes by, the summer is going to get more intense, but shorter. It'll start snowing in September, and summer won't come until May, and then it'll be like being in a frying pan, and then back to this. But if we can suspend our disbelief the disbelief that the meat puppet culture that we are in tells us that we can't do anything about it, except maybe, pay a carbon tax, give me a break. Let's see. Yep, and you guys are feeling my auric field. Yeah, the Oppenheimer Ranch Diamond is the bomb. He is a real scientist, even though he's funny as heck. But how else can you deal with this scary shit if you can't make fun of everything? That's what we have to do. We have to be the Will Rogers, right? And we have, because we can't try and fight the powers that shouldn't be. I mean, I was going to go on about, who's doing what, the political thing of Donnie and the Russians and the this guy and the that guy and the hidden agenda. I mean, that's, what's really the powers that shouldn't be is what I call the hand. You don't even see them. I mean, it's not the Rothschilds, it's not the Illuminati, it's not the Rockefellers. It's none of the above. Those are all just poster children of the hidden hand, and it's a cabal of groups that sometimes work with each other, sometimes fight each other, right? And, they have had advanced technology, since Samaria, Babylon, Egypt. These are all times, and it wasn't just the Anunnaki. There's tons of folk here, of every flavor imaginable, right? And Corey Good and David Wilcox and all those guys, and Dr. Greer, I mean, they're all going for, we want, well, they're being used as chumps, but still, the data that they provide is, lots of crumbs, And 9/11 and the assassination of Jack Kennedy, those are open cancers that have to be cured. And, a lot of this all has to be cured. And the people who did those deeds, we can't try to hang them up by their thumbs. We have to they have to be part of this. We all have to get on the bus. We all have to win. This is a total win-win-win-win-win scenario. Not some, our little tribe is going to win and yours is going to lose. No, can't be that. And you've seen me today when I was in that restaurant. I talked to a number of people who would be considered, somebody other's tribe than, but I said, no, I love you guys. And I read their palms and I did this and I did that and made them laugh and made them happy. Especially my waitress. She was crabby when I sat down and, what do you want? And, I made her happy, made her smile, made her think, made her say, yeah, I can change my life, And there was a number of other people who, were sitting there moping, and I had all these books, and I was writing things and thinking about things, and my auric field was everyone in that restaurant, right? And, about 5 people came, can I talk to you? Sure, sit around, right? And I hadn't started the morning live chat, but next time I involved the waitress, and but the others were pretty interesting too, and that's what we all have to do is we have to involve everyone we come across. You know, everyone is all our relations, right? So let's see. Uh, hmm. The open grass field, yes. Baseball, not so much, but the open grass field, yes. I had a dream about that. How about anybody else? Yes. Open space is oversold, and that's the. Have any of you traveled from your library of your Akashic record into your sanctuary of your own choosing over the bridge of your id? Because the general view from the top of the bridge, looking at at all of your um, your sanctuary of your own choosing, is exactly that. You know, oh, a little Celtic stuff there. I like that, Mr. Dragon. Let's see. Emerge into death ground. Yep. And remember, death is just like a tight slipper, really easy to slip on and slip off. Green resonates with above frequency. Yep, yep, yep. And what frequency is that? For what cycles? Okay. Green is the heart. 442. That's right, buddy. And pretty much anything from 442 to 4 6 is a good place to be. 443 is really good. 444. But 442 is that heart chakra frequency. Okay, so let's take a look at 443. Everyone close their eyes. Take a look, at 443, what it looks like, right? And close your eyes and visualize 443. Visualize the color of 443. Visualize what chakra 443 is vibrating the most. Yep, 432 hertz. That's another strong one. So each of those frequencies, 423, 422, 432, whichever you resonate the strongest with, see that number, see it glowing, see it glowing, and behind it appears and grows stronger the green field. Have everyone see the green field. See what it looks like for you. That's right. I had something that's not, you know, I'm cleaning out the fridge, so I'm just eating things, the least oldest before I have to throw things away. So, a blue with white fractals. Yep, yep. There is a really interesting sitchin. I kind of was mentioning it a few live chats ago. I'll have to look up its name, but it looks like a square, and then a circle, and then made up of triangles, a lotus. And if you were to just visualize that, it would resonate in a way that would almost heal anything that's wrong with you. And I'll have to go back in my notes, and there was a guy who I mean, and this is an ancient thing, and it's like the guys who wrote the book The Secret. That's a very good book. It has, lots of really good esoteric and occult things. And yeah, they're trying to sell it, market it, monetize it, which is okay. It would be a lot better if they kind of said, hey, send what you want to send instead of like, that'll be 1995. My teachers all told me, listen, Al, you can't charge for this stuff, but people can gift you things, right? So, I'll have to look up in my notes what that is, the guy's name, because he has a free, I mean, he has a school, an institute, or whatever, and he has these classes on the internet that, I kind of got a hold of him, and he let me see a few, and they're very good. And he has stumbled across, he's lifted. People do this, they have an accident, something happens to them. Nikola Tesla, his older brother died right in front of him. And that put him on. His brother was like the chosen one, but he drowned. So Nick had to pick up the stick. And, Edgar Casey, same thing. People have these kind of shocks, and it awakes them, right? And so we all have those, and we can either use them to awaken us, or they can take advantage. And that's what MK Ultra does. It traumatizes young children and breaks their ego in like a mirror into shards, and then takes shards and makes personalities that they can use, right? But we can do the same thing, but not traumatize ourselves, but just something happens, some experience or something, and instead of being scared or traumatized, it can wake us up. It's like being shook, And I used to wake myself up to have vivid dreams. I would kind of program myself to be shook awake, right? Like I had the sensation of falling in a dream, right? I wouldn't remember the dream, but that sense of it was an interesting dream, and my subconscious say, "Oh, I want to remember this," and I would have a little part of that dream where I was falling. I'd wake up and I'd remember the dream, and then I'd go right back to sleep, and the next 4 or 5 dreams were a continuation, but more whoa about what it was. And so these are all shamanic techniques, not very hard. So this guy, he found all this esoteric stuff in his Akashic record. He just kind of stumbled it. I was smart enough to not get freaked out, but like take notes, and practice his easy access to his Akashic record, and then let his librarian and animal totem and guardian angel give him the 411 on what he was doing. Let's see. What are you guys saying here? Big, about 6 days ago, alone in my dreams, once I'm lucid. Let's see. Number of thought, amber light. Let's now take on this blue chest. Well, that's, my heart chakra, and blue is as one of you said, is the color of conscious love, because the real connection is love's co-creation. To open, okay. Well, that sounds like one of those things that you put whipped cream in, and then you squeeze out on a cake, and you make flowers and things like that. I mean, if you just take the cream and slop it on, it has no real art. But if you see, and that's the whole thing about light and dark, it gives us the ability to constrain, and through that constraint, it's not, holding it like imprisonment, but it's giving it a direction and a path to go in. And we can choose that path. Yeah, each of their own. adorable dear Jamal. What was to open? Her chest. Well, it's all about practice and baby steps, right? And sometimes we just jump in that water and we almost drowned. My father threw me at the deep end of the pool and I sank all the way to the bottom. And I thought I was a fish. So I was breathing underwater. Instead of swimming, I walked up the floor of the pool and out. And everyone was freaked out because, I was down there for a good however long it took me to walk like a spaceman from the deep end. And I used to go in the pool and just stay down there, right? And when we would go to Jones Beach, the big ocean, I would go out, walk into the water, not swim, not ride the waves, but walk under the water. And I loved looking at everybody's legs. And I loved, people didn't realize how many fish were actually down there, big ones too. And I was like talking to the fish. So, my grandma once told me, you got to stop doing stuff like that. Yes, you're not going to drown. Yes, because she was the one who told me about suspending one's disbelief, and you could do anything, but you had to do it in moderation. And she was all things in moderation. And so, there was a time where I was just flat out open, 100%, and I was protected by love's co-creation so much. I would bump into really scary, like the scary monster behind me. But instead of freaking me out, after Grandma showed me about how to tie the monster shoelaces together so they would fall over on themselves, I could do that. And it was just like that movie, Monsters, Inc. I found out those monsters. I was like that little infant. I thought the monsters were real fun and cool and their friend, and I never really, after that point, that when I went back to my parents' family and they were the monsters, and that's in my subconscious really what was scaring me. And when my grandma took me to see Forbidden Planet and made me sit in the front row, and I noticed that the monster, it was a 70 millimeter frame, and they were animating the monster over the film, I realized, oh, that's freaking what life was. And then, a year or two later, my grandma and I read Plato's treatise on the cave, and that's exactly what he was talking about. That we think we're in a cave, we're facing the wall, the open doorway of the cave's behind us, the light comes in, the shadows of the cave, and we think that's reality. And I think that's what the cavemen were doing on the walls. And they were, the true artist in the first person. Yeah, moss is really, I love moss. I love its color. I love the way it feels on my feet. I love to lie on it. I love it when moss is on a stone and water is washing over it. I love lying on a stone covered in moss and the wave going over me. And that's what that wave is. It's the act of forgiveness. And emotionally vulnerable is not a bad thing as long as you let your guardian angel watch your back. Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Do you like Tara Brock? Really good on how to defeating fear. I'll have to look that up. Can you send me, Miss Jane, a link on my, and all you guys, a number of you sent me great links, and I go and read them, and it edifies me even greater. If anyone has something you really like, please send it on to my The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, and I will read it, and it'll edify me, and we can talk deeper, because this person sounds, Tara Brock sounds like that's something we should all read. And I wish I could. How do I send? So I get something in my Gmail. How do I send it to all of you without having to write every one of you? I know there must be some way that I can make a group thing. Do I have to set up like put you all, spend, an hour or so and put you all into a group thing that then it's there and I can just use the group thing to send you stuff? I mean, I'll do that. I need a third hand. Okay. That is true. Sensei is ancient. Well, fish for wanton. If you must leave, remember that we are all here energetically sending you love and healing and a focused thought. And anyone who feels, because you can, it's like getting indigestion, right? So don't feel that you got to stick around. But remember, you can always get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. I'm always there for you. And if you are in the continental United States, where I can call you if you want to, leave me a phone number. We can talk. If you do WhatsApp, I haven't figured out how, if you gave me a number, how to, be the first one to start the conversation. I can, once you call me, I can get back to you. Cold light. I was part of a thing called the Harvard Color Study. And you know what blue really represents? I mean, what it does to our psyche? It relaxes us, and that's why they have the blue light on the police cars. It kind of makes us so we don't freak out and run or fight or do anything kinds of. So if you take that blue light and you use that relaxation to its optimum for you, it will give you that perspective, that will enable you to get a grip on things. So you won't have to feel bloated. Okay. I will try that out. Email chain, okay. Yes, it is. Let's see. Yes, what is. Let's see. Okay, no, yes. Yes, no, no, yes. Irish moss for crafting. Use. Yep. Moss is good for anything. Monsters of the end. Monsters from Tibetan Bordeaux. Yep. Path between death and birth. Embrace. Yep. Acquire Sachwa. Yep. Serpent Force. Yep. And so, the name of this thing is, E.T.'s Good Ad. It's just like there isn't a E.T. or a person or a soul that I have met that I didn't like, right? And so, yeah, man, there's some really scary reptiles, and there's some really nasty dudes within the cabal who really just love, drinking your blood, blah, blah, blah. But that can only happen if you let them do it. Meaning, if you just say, Nancy Reagan was right, just say no, right? And our will is stronger than anything, right? And our love is even stronger than our will. So, if we enforce our will with love, we can accomplish and do anything, No, it does not Blue is, well, everybody's different, you know. And again, like I said, it calms you down, but that can freak you out, you know. When I mean, I don't know, has anyone here had sleep when you can't move? You wake up and you can't move your body, right? That is one of the scarier, most freaky things, you know, especially if someone else is in the freaking room with you. But you can break that chain by being conscious, by, as Buddha said, being awake. And then that blue light is like helping you focus on being awake. Or you can let it just fuck with your head and you can freak out, one or the other, you know. Good ET, bad ET, you know. Actually, what happens when I interact with police, I am my jovial Sensei Al-Bab, and I end up reading their palms and listening to their problems about their kids and their mom and their wife, girlfriend, and they forget about trying to, it's like, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi. These aren't the droids you're looking for, you know? And I grew up in neighborhoods where it was ultra-violent. A good experience, you know. So that picture I showed you of Stephanie, right? Really gorgeous, really beautiful, underwear model, rich Swiss dad, amazing artist and brilliant scientist, right? And at the time, before we got, you know, when she was living uptown and I was downtown, before I got the loft at, the name of that place escapes me. But anyway, she was sleeping over. It was a really hot summer evening, so I kept the window open, and, you know, a junkie came up the window and came in, and I kind of, you know, was half awake when I realized someone's in the room, right? And Stephanie's right next to me, naked, amazing body, and I could see in this guy's face, you know, a crazed, a drug, a lust, right? And she does not freak out or get scared. She sits up and she goes, "Are you okay? How can I help you? I see that you're very upset." And she goes and she just reads, you know, she was a true reader, meaning I can do cold reads, but this girl was like, she was the empathetic neuron, right? And, you know, I'm not moving. I'm just like listening to her. And she's totally naked, you know, totally exposed, open, you know, her, everything of her physical body is open to this guy. He's got a gigantic sharp knife and an axe, a hatchet. You know, if he went crazed, we'd be dead. And she's just talking to him in the most loving, sweet kind of way. And there's a neon light across the street from a bar that is this color, right? And the whole room is bathed in this color, and she's just talking. Anyway, he starts to cry, and he goes down on his knees, and right in front of her, and she puts her hand on his head and caresses him, and tells him, "It'll be okay." And she said, you know, "You need some money? My pocketbook is over there. In the front flap, there's cash. You can take it all." And he says, "No, no, no, I'm okay. I feel so much better." And he's wiping away the tears. And he leaves the axe and the big knife on the floor, gets up, walks to the front door, opens it. It was a you know, catch latch. And he sets it so when he closes the door, it'll lock behind him. So that could have been, meaning when I kind of woke up, I was, how am I going to protect my woman? But she did that. She was so empathetic. She was so unconditionally loving. She was so in the moment of love's co-creation that she touched this guy's heart, who was a, you know, I could see he was, you know, black, damaged, monster, and she, out of that black damaged monster, she pulled out what was left of his, his loving, co-creative self of a child. You know, paralysis. Yeah, that's the term. Whoops. Yes, I was going to speak to that. The whole New Age crap of, oh, love and light and blah, 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 blah. Well, that is part of the illusion, Be a sheeple. No. As, again, Ronnie Reagan said, trust but verify. And how you verify is how Stephanie verified this guy still had a soul, right? And this is what the arcane, the occult, the esoteric is all bringing about. A good singular person to read on this is a guy named Thomas Merton. His books are, he wrote, from the 40s through the 60s until the Catholic Church killed him in Tibet. Yeah, Blue Sky is totally different from this, but it still has this color temperature, and most of us haven't seen this in a long time. The aerosols have basically turned our sky into a silver blue, and this is more a purple blue. Right? And the other thing about colors, again, if you read, go to my xratted.blogspot.com, one of my short stories is about Ray. And that story is about everything Ray, Ray, meaning the sun god, Ra, and rays of the sun. And there's a exercise within that story where every day there's a different color. And every day you meditate on that color. And I give, for each day, each color, I give the meditation in that short story. So as a shamanic alchemical tool, that's really good. I got it straight from Saint Germain. And he got it from, love's co-creation. So, and on some of that, I give quotes from Saint Germain. And I do that a lot. There are a number of people I quote, kind of in my best kind of, I don't quote them, quotes in the air, but, I take their idea, kind of write it within the context of what I'm writing, and then said, hey, Saint Germain gave me this, I like to give credit where credit is due. So, let's see what you guys are talking about. Okay, I come into contact with those folks. What folks? Let's say, this guy's different than freak lights. Yes, it is. Yes. And and see, the thing about the freak, what really freaks you out about the police blue light isn't the blue in itself. It's that it's being strobed at a frequency. That's what freaks you out. That's the thing that causes the fear. It's not so much the blue color. The blue color is just you identifying with that anxiety of the frequency of that strobe. Because all police lights are strobes, and they blink, and they can dial in any frigging frequency they want. It's not just one strobe fits all. Let's see. When I come into contact with those folks, it is wrong to inflict evil odor on them, to see their possessions, to bring bad out, just to know it's there. But see, the thing is, just like Stephanie did in our apartment, she didn't bring out the bad in that guy, because he would have sliced up us, raped her, sliced us up, left us in a pool of blood. She brought out the best in him, right? And that's what you got to do with cops, touch them on their human side, not their cop side. And that's what I do, with everybody, even cops, and many people go, "Oh, why do you hang out with cops? Oh, I'm so scared of cops." Well, no, it's better that you make them your friend. You know, there's nothing like having. I used to live in this little town, and it was a total speed trap. Meaning, the county road was 55, and then you went across this visible line, and the speed limit went to 5. And they caught everybody. But I got to know I lived in the same apartment building as the cops because part of the gig was you had to live in this town to be a cop, and there was only one place. If you weren't married, didn't have a house, there was only one apartment. I needed an apartment. I was in there, and the lady who is the 911 dispatcher, I read her poem first, and then she told everyone in the police department, "Wow, my new neighbor is so cool." And all the cops came by, knock, 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 knock. "Can I come and visit?" "Sure." Anyway, after about 3 months of living in this town, I could speed through that town at 70, and the cops wouldn't even check. I had a very specific kind of car. It was like papered in bumper stickers. Anyway, and so they never, if they did come after me, it was because they didn't realize it was my car until they stopped me, and they'd see it was me, and they go, "Al, just slow down." Never freaking got a ticket there because, I made those guys my friends. When I was a newspaper photographer in High Point, North Carolina, and we would take pictures, and this is where I learned that cops were human beings. I show up at this job. No one tells me that, so this city did not have their own, the police didn't have their own photographer. The newspaper guys took the pictures for the cops, right? We were like the CSI cop guys. And if they needed real CSI people, they bring in the SBI. But anyway, so the first time I get called to do this, I'm like wearing flip-flops and shorts and a T-shirt. And this kind of gruff policeman looks at me and goes, "So you're the new guy?" I go, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "See my car over there?" "Yes, sir." He goes, "Open up the trunk." And in the trunk, there's some waiters. Put them on. Now, the only waiters I knew up until then were guys who held trays and brought you your dinner, right? But I go in there, and there's these rubber boots that go up to your chest. And I put them on, and he goes, "Go in there and take pictures." So I go in there, and these 4 guys that he told me were their brothers got drunk and decided to go after each other in this little apartment with shotguns. So parts of their bodies, when you are like 3 feet from somebody and you point the shotgun at their arm, the arm goes this way and the body goes that way. You point it at their head kind of disappears. Anyway, that was the site of this apartment, right? Now, I had seen things of that nature before in New York, and I was somewhat, look at that. But I was being very professional, looking at it through my frame and not going, "Oh my God." Anyway, but that guy didn't have to do that. He could have let me go in there because, man, blood is so slick, it's like snot. But he didn't have to give me those waiters. That saved my life, man. I didn't get covered in blood. I didn't go flying, I could walk around. Because he knew, he could have, played a joke on me and laughed, ha, 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 because I had really long hair. And he could have, but he didn't. So we became buddies, And pretty much every police officer I got to know in that city like that, I did my job well and made their job easier. We hung out at the same donut shop and bar and played pool together. And they were cops. I was this, the mayor once said to me, "Al, we all love you, but if there were more of you, we'd have to kill you." Because I did not. I'm a northerner, but, I was just me, but I didn't understand the cultural. I lived in a black neighborhood, in a black restaurant. I fixed the ladies everything, and she gave me this apartment upstairs, and I got everyone ate, the judges, everybody ate at that place, and the mayor, I was like, judge on one side, the chief of police on the other side, and the mayor next to him, and the mayor kind of leans over and says, "Oh, I hear you're living upstairs." And I go, yeah, yeah. He goes, well, we don't like, mixing of the. I said, what do you mean mixing of the races? You eat here every freaking day. I just get here first. And he kind of laughed, and he just shook his head. And that's when he said, Al, we really love you, but if there were more of you, we'd have to kill you. And and that's how you got to go with the monster, right over my head, right? It's also one of that guy above my head is one of the faces of the Greeks. The first real theater folk were the Greeks. In the Olympics, and they had the Olympics at Delphi. You know what the number one event of the Olympics there was? Theater. You know what the number two event was? House decoration. You know how all those Greek houses are white? Well, they're white because back in the day they would paint those houses. The white, stuccoed house is just the white canvas, right? I mean, you just have to go past all of your beliefs and suspend them and see what love's co-creation really is. That's what I'm talking about. It's one reason why I'm using this blue light. The real reason is because one of you said, hey, get more light, and this was the only light I had. But it brought up the conversation of color psychology, right? And color psychology is a real thing. But, the thing of police, the color thing, again, relaxes you to the point where you're open, and then they hit it with a strobe flash, and that's where, once you're open, they can just crack you like an egg, right? Like I said, that flashing thing has many settings, and they can, dial whatever they want you to do. Want you to be sublimative, want to be arrogant, want to be, well, we want to beat this guy up, so we'll put it on this frequency, and he'll freak out, and we'll be able to tase him and beat the shit out of him, So, but the bottom line is that you need to jujitsu that to where they're your buddy. And the other side of the thing is you need to be able to read what's going on 3 blocks away. So if some shit is coming your way, why people get into trouble, into harm's way, is that they're just that, in harm's way. Whereas if you sense it, feel it coming, you get out of the way. In martial arts, my teacher taught us not to win the fight, but not have it, not be there. Get out of the way. Only go to the martial arts side of things if you have to, right? And especially if you have to go save somebody who's innocent and weaker than you are. That's the only time you're really supposed to be fighting, is to protect the innocent. Otherwise, you're supposed to get out of harm's way. You think? No, I'm incapable of thinking. Come on, Mr. Dragon. Don't be so droll. Ugh. Let's see. Blue. Well, there is one there. Okay. Let's see. Not really that dumb, buddy. Evil art is out there, and sometimes you need to look at it. What is the light without dark? Exactamundo. Another. I like your eyes. Let's see. Have you guys heard Joni Mitchell's album Doggy Dog? If not, go find it at the library on the internet. Go listen to the whole album. And that's, she was already in her 50s when she made that. And that was one of the most amazing psychosocial political statements that there was. Yes, it's the idea of the cop pulling you over and not the color blue. But it identifies, now that every cops used to have red blinking, gumballs, right? Then they got into the blue strobe, and that's when they realized they could really fuck with your head. messed with aliens. Sure. Yep. Meaning the thing that really, it's like, and I learned that, I mean, we're all fucking aliens, you know. Homo sapiens sapien, we're the fucking aliens. And when I was a little kid, I was a little gumball. I mean, I was like, you know, I was 5'2.5" until I was about 16. And then I kind of shot up to 5'11". And then the next year, 5'11 3/4", and I kind of stopped there. But when I was a little guy, the bullies tried to pick on me all the time. But I wasn't, you know, they would say things, you know, pick on me. It would go right over my head. I wasn't even thinking about it. Because I knew, see, bullies, they are not, you know, unless there's a bunch of them and they all got baseball bats, they're not going to physically pick on you because they're chicken, you know? And because I had the confidence of being as stupid as I was, not knowing I should be scared of these guys, I ignored them. And that's when you ignore the monster, when you see it and like go, oh yeah, there you are, but then don't give it no mind. Like if people really wanted to shut Donnie Trump up, just ignore him. He would like shrink away. But Donnie was, well, I'm back. I got kind of knocked off. I'm back in the dark ages here. We were just getting interesting there, and somebody said, "Ooh." Who's left? There were about 12, 15 of us. So, yeah. So Donnie is like, you know, you have to almost feel sorry for Donnie because you know, he thinks he's still on the TV show The Apprentice. I'm here. Okay, we're getting back. We're up to 6. So anyway, you know, somebody interrupted us to basically refocus. I mean, we were doing pretty good there. We were talking about a lot of interesting, we totally free-flowing stream of consciousness, all over the place. I've totally lost my stream of consciousness. So let's, you guys started up there. And what's that smoke like? You know, oh, you know what that thing is? That is a mosquito strip hanging from the ceiling, right? See, it kind of looks like a cigarette. It kind of looks like God knows what that is. But, and that's what life is like. We have all these illusions, and our little imagination plays tricks with us, so we have no idea what it is. But that's what it is. It's like the long thing is the strip, and the other thing is the shadow from the light. Bob's Auric Field, yep. Yeah, it's going up to my Akashic record via the fly strip. Okay, exercise, visualization exercise. Okay, I'm gonna like not put this on me for that, right? I'm gonna maybe put it back there to just be some kind of illumination, kind of. Okay, a little squirrely thing. That's good. Maybe I'll put the squirrely thing right there. Okay, keep the monster out of the frame. Okay, sit up straight, be comfortable, lie down, do whatever you want to do, but don't cross anything, and be in a relaxed, conscious state, right? Well, visualization exercise is like anything. Practice, practice, practice. Going into state is what we're practicing here. And once you can do that, you can go into your Akashic record, which gives you the access to any information in the universe. I mean, that's kind of good. And then going from there, from your subconscious mind, where your library of your Akashic record is, you go over your id, the bridge of your id, to your superconscious mind, where that's the sanctuary of your own choosing, where all is as it should be. So if you can access that, and by practicing a visualization and meditation, more and more you practice that. I mean, I can go into state like in a second. One big, and I'm there. I'm in my Akashic record right now. I'm sitting at my table, and my librarian and my animal totem and my guardian angel right next to me. And I open my Akashic record, and on the big screen, I see all of your energetic shields. And around the big screen is the 28 screens that give perspective. And I'm seeing all of you, all 9. See it clearly. You can see each other. You already know each other. You already feel each other's field. A lot of you have real connection with each other, right? And all of you are connected to one or more of you. And I feel that. Right now, in my Akashic record, I can, and I'm kind of flittering between my imaginary mirror and my library. Intent. Seeing electric blue, sending profound love, meditation, taste it. Chocolate, yep. Hold the image as long as you can. Thoughts. Spinning deep, coming out of the spiral. Yep. And that, Mr. A, is what doing visualization is good for. Be there now. I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and as I do, you're going to go deeper and deeper into a conscious state of relaxation, where the little monkey in your mind is shut up, where the squirrel is like let go out of the cage, and everyone's no longer running in a useless wheel. We're quieted down. You're not thinking about anything but your breath. And with that comes illumination. You see yourself illuminated in your imaginary mirror. That's your eyelids. That's where you have REM sleep, right? And you're seeing, coming through that field of white light, the illumination of your subconscious mind, which is not a scary place. It is a library of your Akashic records. See it clearly. You're walking into your library, and to your left is your librarian. To the left of your librarian is your animal totem. Left of your animal totem is your guardian angel. Look at your librarian. See your librarian clearly. Remember what your librarian looks like. Then look at your animal totem. See what your animal totem is. See your guardian angel. Librarian brings you the information. And you can see it all in your Akashic record, that big book with the screens. And you can put things in that book. Whatever anxiety or fear or pissed offness you have at this moment, open up that book and stick it in there and close the cover. Boom. It's no longer inside of you. No longer in your ethereal field, It's in your Akashic record. Now you can open up right now and look at it, and you'll have perspective. You'll see what was going on, why you did this, why this affected you, why you were feeling this. Because you now have perspective. Rather than letting that energetic anxiety get in your cage, you are seeing what's going on. And that's why meditation is good, right? And I have a really good friend who is, a captain in a police force, and he was, really, he'd been a policeman long enough to realize that what was the most important thing of the police was to get along with the community. Without the support of the community, the police couldn't do their job. So I taught him how to meditate, and he taught the freaking police force how to meditate. Now he's retired, and he has this, you know, thing that I help him set up where he goes and teaches policemen how to meditate, so they won't just jump out of the car and shoot somebody. They will slow down and not be controlled by their adrenaline. That's what's good about, um, you know, going into visualization. And that's why treat police like I treat everybody, like a human being who I like. There isn't a human being that I haven't met, and I met some really freaky, angry, upset cops at the moment, and I was able to like go over and talk to them and calm them down and get them to see what was going on, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay," you know. And people who go, "Oh, I can't stand you because you talk to cops." It's like, really? Hmm. Well, it's for sure that and the next time they stop you because you're speeding, they will pull you out and beat the ever living shit out of you with their billy clubs, because you're scared of them. I'm a pretty good driver. I don't get accidents or tickets. I mean, I did when I was younger, but um, I wasn't feeling good. I couldn't see too well, and I ran into somebody, right? And it was really the other person's fault, but because I ran into the back of their car legally, it's my fault. And when the cops showed up, that person was like a bitch, and they didn't like. But me, I was like talking to the police, and I wasn't in such good shape to begin with. And he goes, "You want to go to the hospital?" I said, "No, I'm good. I'm good. It'd be too much paperwork for you." And I'm honestly, I feel good. I'm fine. And I don't feel good, but I'm fine. And we talked, and then I started talking about them, the police, and the person in the vehicle that I hit. All they could do, "Can I go now? Can I?" Blah, 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 right? And they just like started to not like her that much. So when it came time to go in front of the judge, they basically said, "This guy, it wasn't his fault. It was this person's fault, but yes, he did run in the back of their car." So the judge basically let me go. I mean, by law, I was supposed to, at the very least, have to go to driver's ed, right? And he just let me go. And I said, Honor, I think I would like to go to driver's ed. And he goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good, And he says, "You mean you could just walk out of here free?" And I said, "Yes, sure. I want to, be the good citizen, be the." And he talked to the lady. He goes, "This. You should be like this guy." So he actually find the woman. He found something that he could find her for, and threw the book at her, and then said, "Thank you, sir." Right? And he gave me this paper. He said, "So here, you can go to this school at this time, and if you go to this school at this time, you won't have to pay the $90, and they will call me up." And say that you did it, and you won't even have to come back to court. Well, this bitch, she's going to have to come back a few times, and you know, so that's because I was nice to everybody, even the bitch. I was nice to, right? And because there is no justice. I used to work for Ralph Nader, right? The New York Public Interest Research Group. And I was a guy who could get everyone, get things happening. But his whole thing, he's a brilliant, like he could be Supreme Court judge, but no, he really wants to serve the people. Anyway, he sent me to one of his friends at NYU Law School, right? And this guy was a judge, and he was a dick, but he knew the law like anybody. And these guys, Ralph Nader was on one side of the universe, and his buddy was on the other. But they were like oil and water, night and day. You couldn't believe how different these two people were. But they both respected each other because they really knew the law, and they just were coming from different points of it, right? And they had gone to school together. I think they were roommates at Harvard. Anyway, long story short, I go to this class, you know, he tells his buddy, I want to send you this kid, and he's going to take your a certain procedural course, which you're supposed to be in law school like 3 years. But I just walked in cold, and because Ralph said, "Hey, let this kid take this course," and he's not taking it for credit, he's just there to listen to you and then talk to you after class, right? So I did, but the very first day we were there, he comes, we're all sitting, and he comes in. He's like impeccably dressed. He's a freaking judge, right? State Supreme Court judge. And so he walks in. We're all sitting, and we're like, really, we know not to say anything, do anything, barely breathe, right? And so he walks in, and his assistant has done all the preliminary stuff. And he walks in, he goes to the blackboard, and he writes in big letters the word justice, right? And then we all look at him, we're scribbling it down in our notebooks, justice. Then he has his assistant, he's not going to do it, erase the word. And he erases the word. And then he draws a dollar sign up there, and he goes, from now on, from this moment on, I never want to hear the word that I just erased. He wouldn't even say it. He goes, there is no such thing. It's an illusion. The only thing that matters is that dollar sign. The only thing the law is there is to monetize. And that's the real truth of the law. There is no justice. There's just ice. ICE. It's cold as ice. So if you believe the illusions that you have been bred to believe, you're going to get fucked, But if you wake up, if you are awake, if you are there, if you connect with everyone who walks into your arc field in the most positive way, where you want to co-create with love's co-creation with everyone you come in contact with, you're going to be okay, no matter what's going on. And that's why we meditate. That's why we do visualizations, because it's practice. You go into your Akashic record, you see everything in your life in that book, and you can relive it. You can see it, but you can do it with perspective. You go over the bridge of your id through the door to the right, and you walk into your sanctuary of your own choosing, your superconscious mind. That's where everything is real. That's where love is, Love's co-creation there, and you can co-create with love. That's what Nikola Tesla, all the people who invented things, did great art, did anything great, were able, from in one way or another, to get into that state and experience what they wanted to do there, and then brought it back here and did it like snap of the fingers. Why are some people really, as they say, got the knack? My thing is to listen to all the senses. Well, you got to go past the senses, because we only got 5 of them, and our 5 senses only register 0.00095% of the universe. The other 0.0092% of the universe we don't get, but it's out there affecting us. So we got to go a little past our 5 senses, and that's why we want to ascend. Why we want to go to our Akashic record first and get all the details, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts, and then go to our, our sanctuary of our own choosing, our superconscious mind, and that's where we can build the reality we want with love's co-creation. One thing is to happen. That's let's go on singular from pi root kalo to here. The root is the source, also the Sanskrit. Here's here. Yep. But again, remember that when you're going on about this esoteric stuff, it was in somebody's book. You got to go there and read it in your own vernacular, in your Akashic record, because it really does. It gives you a understanding that no other buddy's book's going to give you. You got to take what you just said and see it in your Akashic record, And it will give you an angle because you got 28 angles to look at it from, and you'll go, And if you can't get it, your librarian will bring you other things to maybe help you with it. And if that doesn't happen, that's when your animal totem will tell you a story from the context of that animal totem, because that totem is very important for you, you know. And in the totem pole, they go, "Oh, you're at the bottom of the totem pole." But in reality, indigenous folk who have the totem poles, the guys up there in Alaska, Eskimo land, the most powerful of the totems is the one at the bottom because it's holding everything up. It's got the strength of the earth, right? And in Japan, they have a totem pole too, and it's all about chi, you know. So, okay, let's keep going. What are you guys saying here? English, to listen, hear, attend, to obey. And that's just like, in Christianity or Judaism or any of the other book things. You worship, you obey, you serve, or not even serve. It's more like grovel. But in my little Akashic record, I read, you co-create with love, right? You serve your highest capability of love's co-creation for others, and you have great gratitude in your life because everything you do is in service that brings you joy. And because you are always living in joy, you're enjoying your life, right? And how do we make ourselves happy? By making others happy. Yeah. And listen is to, again, so here we are in these bags of water that have 5 senses. So within the construct of that, yeah, use them to their utmost, right? And that is, and because we're this bag of water that's really controlled by these hormones, that's why meditation is really good, because it slows down. You don't let your adrenaline take control of you, and then your senses give you bad data, right? You get the wrong picture. Okay. Obey propaganda? Not really. Don't go there. Yes. Words are spell chosen. Choose them wisely. That's why spelling and grammar, it's a spell. If you go to xratted.blogspot.com and read my stuff, it's all, I did it to break the spell. It's a sitchin. My writings are metaphors that are sitchins, that are spoken words instead of drawings. Yes. Yep. And the Egyptians, they were one of the last off the boats. They were part of the higher caste of extraterrestrial, genetically manipulated dudes. Hey, have you guys heard that a guy in China used CRISPR to basically not clone, but genetically engineer 2 babies? He took 2 eggs that were, identical twins. He took the sperm and he used CRISPR to cut things out of both genetic sides, and like made one have blonde hair and the other had black and this and that, and did put in different traits in both these kids, which is like, now the Nazis have been doing that since the 1940s. So but this guy just picked it up. So we're getting into weird times here. Yeah, I tried that in Brazil. But what was interesting about it was I was with a shaman, and we went out into the woods, and we were, just basically meditating. He and I were both meditating, and we were communicating with the animals of the woods and the whole ball of wax. And he had the little thing to blow it up my nose, and he goes, "I want to show you something." And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "So how do you feel right now?" And I said, "Well, I'm in communications with all our relations, and 9 generations in the past and 9 generations in the future, and I'm seeing all kinds of really deep insights." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy." So he goes, "I'm going to blow this up your nose." "Oh, that's that stuff." He goes, "Yeah, I just want to show you something." Boom, he blows it up there. And it was like, someone had just shot, um, you know, chalk dust up my nose that was dusted with gasoline, and so this big, just lightning bolts went up my nose into my brain, but then blew out the back of my brain, and it was like somebody opened a window, right? And things kind of fluttered out, and within, I didn't have a watch on, so I couldn't tell exactly how long this little thing took, this little process, but it couldn't have been more than 5-10 minutes. And I went from, before he did that, I was as stoned as you could get on any hallucinogen, because I was on every dimension in the universe just by meditating and being with this shaman. And when he blew the chemical up my nose, it distracted and distorted things, so I couldn't see that all of those things I was seeing before. And so, we went, to another part of the forest. We picked some fruit. We sat under a tree and ate bananas and other succulent fruits. And we talked about all kinds of things. And then he said, "Now we're going to go over to this waterfall where spirits are. And they're going to take you into the waterfall. And they're going to cleanse that chemical out of your body. And we're both going to be right back in that multidimensional phase that we were in, but even more interesting in a way, because you've just experienced what the physical illusion is, right? By me blowing this crap up your nose, right? Like, it blew what was the beautiful co-creation there to, crap, And so these guys are going to, wash that out of you. And from this point on, you won't have to do drugs ever, right? If you want to get stoned, just come back into this state. And I said, "Yeah, okay." And that has been the case. Now, I do like to smoke a little chiba every now and then, but I don't buy it. I don't keep it. If I'm in the right place at the right time and somebody has some, I share it, because my real thing is I like sharing that stuff, not so much going off into some place by myself and smoking away until, I've eaten, 500 pounds of potato chips, So, and that's what we're doing here. We're learning a new frame of reference, because as the time comes shorter in our 40 days and 40 nights, we each individually are going to have to be able to be that pebble in the pond to basically help the rest of humanity traverse into this higher state. And now, like my mom said, you can drag a horse to water, can't make it drink. So we can't make everything, we can't make anybody do anything. We can be good example. We can give a hand up, but not a hand out. And that's what I'm trying. All of you are doing really, really well in sharpening your own pencil there. Giving, taking the stories that I give you freely and use them graciously to help you. You've already been on this path, and you are now just taking more steps forward, and it's becoming easier and easier. So that is the storyline. And it was interesting, just as we were getting into a certain point, somebody disconnected us. But what was really interesting is that I could get back here And we got into another point of reference coming from the same direction. But I think it has assisted all of us here to become sharper in the frame. You know? So what are you talking about here? Yep. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. What happens after the 40 days and 40 nights? Well, bottom line about that is that, 40 days and 40 nights are not, if you go read the Bible, Noah, Jesus, Moses, Adam, everybody had the 40-night, 40-day experience. If you really read between the lines, you realize that these guys are realizing that the world isn't a linear thing. So the 40 days or 40 nights is as long as you want, as long as you need, however long it takes. That's why we're here. That's why end of times ain't coming anytime soon. If we stay this moron, sheeple, mud puppet, well, things will just get more awkward and uncomfortable, and you really want to live that way, or you can work taking little steps, baby steps at first, step by step, where we ascend. And it's not like, poof, you're all ascended. No, it's a journey. So 40 days and 40 nights is just a metaphor of the window. Things are happening. We have to wake up. We have to be the pebble in the pond. We have to be that ripple that can help manifest a better outcome rather than a really icky outcome. Don't want that. Smudging? Oh, you're smudging. Good. Smudging is good. Burning that incense. But, and you can smudge where you're smudging right now, right? So this is like Reiki smudging. So you're burning some nice sage or whatever you're smudging with, wheatgrass. Not wheatgrass, but sweetgrass. Whatever you're using, it is covering all of us. Come on, everyone, breathe that smudge in. See, I would love it if you guys would come to the Big Green this spring, summer, and fall, and we do sweats. We walk and meditate. We, take evening meditative walks through the forest. We go visit the waterfalls around me. A lot of great little things. And there's 2 big college towns on either, about 30 miles in each direction of me that we can go visit and have fun with all these kids. I mean, I go to the, in Boone, I hang out at my office is the IHOP. It's where a lot of these kids go. And, I just freaking blow their minds. And if there was a cadre of us doing this, and we could, go into those schools and like take them over, because they would let us do it, White's the best. That would be fun. Yep. So I'm always there for fun, though I looked up, I used to be known as the minister of fun, because whatever social activism I ever did, I made it fun, because why would anybody do it if it was just a drudge? But I kind of looked up the lineage of the word minister and the word fun. And the minister is like the spiritual policeman who locks your soul up in a dark hole. And the fun is the ultimate in destructive distraction. So I had to take that off the business card. I had to rebrand myself. And that's why I got the Sensei Bob going. So let's see, what else are we talking about here? The body experience, meditation, practice will get you there. Right. I mean, that's what's, when you go to your Akashic record, in your subconscious, you're kind of leaving your body. You think you're still in your body, but, your body's in that chair or lying in bed or wherever you park it, right? And you get good at this. I mean, when I was a negotiator for the desperate lawyers, I would, and people are screaming at each other, and it's like you want to pull your hair out. I would just close my eyes and be in my sanctuary, and take a 2-week vacation on the beach, talking to love's co-creation, and going out to dinner and seeing movies and going dancing, and the thing about love's co-creation, it can be any person, anything, any place, any time, what you want, because it's your love's co-creating. Yep. Practice of death. Yeah. As a metaphor. Yeah, exactly. Because, Buddha said if you're not ready to die, you're not ready to live. So death is just another state of your consciousness without your avatar, basically. So, you're going into your higher self, See, I'm very choosy with my words. So, like God and Lord and death, and, they carry way too much luggage. So I try to find a more suitable word. And I would hope that all of you, my adepts, will be practicing finding the suitable word, not just the easy word, but the suitable word, the one that really rings true. Say that word and see the vibration of the words. That's where the power is. That's where, in Dune, when the guys used to, cough into those blowguns and, the spaceship would explode, that was the power of the word. They were saying certain words that would, energize this amplifier device that would, blow things up. So, and that is true. Gabriel's horn, same thing. Yeah, om. Look where that vibration is coming. It's coming right from the heart chakra and down about 4 octaves from where you normally talk from. Yep, exactement. White light. And white light is not like, oh, I'm a, people, I love it when the New Age crowd goes, oh, I'm a light worker. Well, you know what that means? They work for Satan because he is, Lucifer, the light giver, right? So the light that illuminates, and that's why, Satan was, and again, I'm using all these words that carry so much luggage, and I don't like to use them, but in this frame I will. Satan was God's number one guy, And, in Job, they're sitting in a bar having a drink, smoking a doob, and God's saying, hey, look at my man Job. He's so cool. He worships me. And, the devil says, yeah. Well, take something. He worships you because you give him everything. Take it away. See what he does. And Job does not curse God because he realizes God is love's co-creation. So he's just seeing it as an opportunity to do his best. Because love gives us this opportunity, and what we need to get back to love and co-creation is what we do with our opportunity. Yep. That's the problem with illusion. It's never done. Vows have, it's just like in Jeopardy. Alex, I'll take. What's the one? You spin a wheel and get a vowel. Whatever that thing is. David Lynch is a great filmmaker. I love all his films. Blue, what's his name, and all the rest. And that one he did, that's really amazing. I forget the name of it, but this, blonde, sweet, beautiful peaches and cream girls from the Midwest. She comes to Hollywood to make it big, and she's an amazing act. I mean, and then you realize the whole movie is about the last 3 seconds of her life just before she blows her brains out. Yes, I love everyone, you know, but that is not eros, you know. That is logos, you know, the word of the love, you know. I love everyone, you know, no matter how wretched the person seems, I love them, right? Now, I don't have to, you know, be abused by them. I can get out of the way. I can be invisible, but I love them. You know? And I try that experience I had with Stephanie, you know, in my apartment with the, you know, drug crazed monster. That's the kind of love I try to emulate and project. Really, David Lynch made June. That's why I like that film. Holy moly. Blue Velvet, that's the one. Yep. The Spice. Sucker Punch. Lobotomy. Yep. I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a lobotomy, whatever else it goes. Than a frontal lobotomy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, just before. Yep. Lost Highway, maybe. No, it's like it's the name of a street in Hollywood. Anyway. Lost Highway. No, Melrose or Melby, or it starts with an M. Anyway. Well, like anything else, a sigil is just a tool. If you use it for good, it's fine. If you use it for bad, it's a distraction. You know. So it's just a tool. You know, and you know, one man's magic is another man's science. It's all about, and again, what's, you know, is it a good ET or a bad ET? You know, and the Crone, you know, I spent a good almost 3 months with her, and it felt like 20 years. Right? And every night, every minute we were together, we were talking about stuff, and she talked about dimensional creatures. She talked, because there were places on her farm that these ley lines came through, that if you went over there, you would go through, you know, it's Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole. And she would let me see certain things on my own. You know, she would take me there, show it to me, how to be safe, blah, blah, blah. And then I could go on my own. But there were other places I could not go by myself, because she said it was dangerous, you know. And so, you know, there's good and bad, but it's that good and bad is stuck in the illusion of linear time. When it's all our relations, then it's not. It's just what is, you know. So, of course, it's okay to have iced coffee. I have iced coffee. Actually, I drink hot coffee and iced coffee at the same time. I have a cup in the morning. I have a glass of, I have them. My waitress is trained. They bring me a hot cup of coffee and a glass of ice and the pot of coffee, and they pour the coffee from the hot into the ice, and then, if they're really cool, they will take a big styrofoam cup and fill it up with coffee, so I don't have to bug them. And I drink the hot coffee, and then I drink the cold coffee, because sometimes you just like that hot coffee. But other times when you're eating something, you want something cool. And I got that from my mom. My mom did that all the time. Drank hot coffee and cold coffee. The same thing. So. Mulholland Drive. Thank you, Mr. Ride. Yeah, that was truly a freaking amazing movie. All his movies are freaking amazing. Twin Peaks, that was great. Blue Velvet, Dune, Mulholland Drive. That's the movie, Mulholland Drive. But that one blew my shorts off. The others were great, and I really loved them, and I watched them many times because I love movies. But Mulholland Drive because when I saw it, normally I'm a writer, so I look at everything as a screenplay. So I usually know exactly, as soon as the movie starts, I tell you exactly what's going to happen. And I used to go to movies with friends and girlfriends, and they would hate it when I did that. And so I stopped doing it. I'm not a schmuck. But I would, in my head, go, okay, this is what, okay. But that movie, Mulholland Drive, every twist and turn, it was like, I can't believe it. He pulled a fast one on me again, and at the end of the movie truly blew my mind, right? So that's what I like. I mean, that was probably one of, other than Kubrick, that movie was my favorite. Whoa. Wow. What's happening is my body is telling me. So I've lost a lot of weight, right? From not eating like the hedonist slob I was. So I lost almost 270 pounds. So I'm down to about 210. Simple math, 210, 270. I was close to 500 friggin' pounds. I was like Mr. Creosote in The Meaning to Life. Anyway, so my body wants me to keep going in such a way because it just doesn't want me to eat the crap of what's around. Meaning, I did not have this kind of burpiness when I was out in the forest just, drinking bark tea and eating berries. And once in a while having pancakes at IHOP. Yeah, mushroom tea. What you just said, that's good. But I'm not. I basically living on the kindness of the universe, and that's just how it goes. So whatever I'm supposed to, so the one thing I realized, okay, so I'm not going to cut back on the meats and the heavier things, the starches, more green, that kind of stuff. So, that's where I'm going. And it's cheaper, too. Let's see, Mohan, I believe, was responsible for hydroelectric power down in the Hammond call in the early 90s. Well, I wouldn't doubt any of it. Racerhead, that was a good one, too. Yes, yes. Well, you almost have to like prepare yourself to see that movie. And watching it on television with commercials sometimes helps because it interrupts those things where you're about to go, ah! So we've been doing this now for I don't know because the timer doesn't say hours. It just says seconds. We've been doing this now for 28,049 and 76 seconds. Ow. I love this stuff. This is so much fun. I love you guys. But I'm getting a little tuckered. So I think you guys need to take over a little bit and have more of the, okay, let's take that big breath in. And then the big breath out. Big breath in. And here we are in dark. And let the light bring to you questions you want to ask me, right? And we'll take a little bit of time before I say goodnight. Question. Mr. Ride. I love that. I love the word anthropomorphized. Study on what this new medium has to offer. This is very true. And you know, anthropology, what is anthropology? It's supposed to be, not quite, because they turned it into an academic thing, but it's a shamanic tool where you take your prejudicial glasses off and you see what's really there. That's what anthropology is supposed to do. So, Mr. Ride, very right on the dollar when you say anthropologic study on what this new medium of, well, not just, you know, YouTube or the chat, but what we are doing with it. That's the new medium. Okay, Sunray. Peace out. Ghost, I love you too, dear friend. Peace. I know you're taking notes on us. Yeah, but I don't put it on paper. It's in my Akashic record. And I'll share it with you anytime you want. You know? Yep. Throw it all in Dreamtime. Me too, buddy. Every time all of you guys try and do it, I'm there, you know? And, you know, I may be the worm. I may be, you know, with the hookah. I may be the rabbit with the hat. I may be a lot of things. So, just look for me. And I'm usually in the east. Whenever you see a direction, see the sun rising, look for me. You know, I'm usually coming from the east in dream time. Because one of, I don't know why this happened, but, you know, the Aborigines, when we would go into dream time, they would use the most amazing scholarly words that, you know, when I was in Adelaide, where the alleged, you know, experts on the Aborigines, this one anthropologist, this is why I'm a little icked at, you know, scholastic anthropologist, you know, I was sent up there to do an ethnography on this crew that had been about 1,100, and then they found uranium, titanium, and diamonds on the land, and the government and the company went up there and just shot everyone in the head. And so that crew went from around 1,100 to about 9. That picture that I show often of the Aboriginal tribe that I'm with, anyway, those were the survivors. Anyway, they were about to have the Olympics in Australia, and people around the world were kind of complaining that the Aussies were a bit, you know, nasty. They were always killing the Aborigines, blah, blah, racist, blah, blah, blah. So the Australian government wanted to show how groovy they were, so they were going to go save the Aboriginal sacred sites, the corroborees, you know, up in this place that they tore up with the diamonds, gold, and iridium. Now, little did, you know, so this guy goes, I'm the expert on this tribe. I said, did you ever go live with him? No. Then how can you be the expert? Well, I've read a lot of books about it. I'm the expert. I've written papers. Oh, that is not nice. Anyway, so I got sent up there, and they gave me a Bolex. This is before video. I had a 16mm camera, and a Polaroid had just come out with the SX70, and which is like the space camera. You know, you put the pack in, and it pops out pictures. And it's a great camera. That was one of these amazing pieces of technology. But anyway, when I first went to Australia, I just went to visit my friend Neil. I didn't expect to be there for 3 years. But when I was flying and I landed, I left Hawaii at September 12th. And we went over the thing, and we flew into Sydney, into Adelaide, no, Sydney on 9/11. And I was dreaming about the World Trade Centers falling. And this was in 1977. And in 1971, I was an apprentice electrician on those buildings, so I know them pretty well. So anyway, long story, that whole 3 years I was there, it was like I was doing acid. And again, if you go to my blog spot, xratted.blogspot.com, I have that whole story of Australia, the whole thing. Anyway, so one of the, so we get there, and the guy in Adelaide goes, I know everything about this tribe. And he says, well, forget trying to take pictures or talk to them or do anything. They're just like children. They're really innocent, and they're scared of cameras. They think it steals their soul. Anyway, I get there, and they were waiting for me. No one told them I was coming. They were waiting by the side of the road, and they had waited for 2 weeks. We were late. But they were drinking beer. They didn't care. They were under a tree. They were waiting for us. And when I got off the bus with my lovely Donna, and the first thing they said to me was, well, Al, how'd you like your first night in Australia? And my first night with Australia, I was on the airplane ride sucked. Everything was screwed up. I was my wife was just nuts about the trip. I'm not nuts good, but really pissed. And so she just went to bed, and I sat out in the park sitting on this bench watching the moon rise over Sydney. And I went into a trance, and I left my body, and my body left too, because I was gone for 72 hours. The police looked for, searched everywhere for me. And then when the policeman found me, I was sitting at the chair I sat down, but it was noon rather than, in the evening. 72 hours had passed. Everyone had looked for me in that park, I was not sitting on that bench. But when he found me and woke me up, I was sitting on that bench. And that was the first night I was in Australia. And a year and a half later, when I meet this Aborigines guy, how'd you like your first night in Australia? Because where I left, I went to a corroboree was there, and I was dancing naked around a fire pit. And the sparks of the fire were taking me up into outer space, and I was going to other dimensions, right? And that's the Wallamajiri tribe in Australia, the Aborigines, that photograph. If you go back, and at least 5 or 6, maybe 10 of my chats have that as the cover of it. And there was a baby born amongst these guys, and they were all in their 70s. And this woman who was in her 40s, who was the youngest, she had a baby, and no male fertilized her. She was like the Virgin Mary. And she was pregnant for 4 months, and the baby popped out weighing 10 pounds. And within 3 or 4 weeks, the baby was walking around, and it had a halo. It was Jesus Christ. Anyway, so I was documenting all of this stuff, and every now and then, this white guy from, a cow thing would come by and check on how we were, and whether to see if any of the guys, because they were great cowboys, if they wanted to spend a few days, running after cows. And sometimes we did, and sometimes we didn't. And because these people had the will to choose what they wanted to, when they didn't work, the white people would call them lazy. It's like, really? Anyway, because they didn't have any use for money, because everything they ate came from the land. So anyway, I kept sending photos and films of my, because that's what anthropologists, we document things. Anyway, so when I first got there, and I had this, big suitcase of all this stuff, I had about 8 of these SX70 cameras and about, 200 packs of film. And I gave everyone an SX70 Polaroid camera, and I showed them how to use it and how to put the film in. And they went around and took pictures of their toes and a rock, or and I didn't go, oh, that's stupid. I said, oh, and they were all pretty amazing. Anyway, pretty much from that point on, they showed me everything. I could photograph everything. I could film everything, and it was not a bad thing. And so we went to he took me on a walkabout, and we went to a corroboree, right? And we did the ceremony. And we're out in the middle of the basically desert, and but there's water everywhere. It's just underground. The white people think it's a desert, but there are all these cracks and things where there's like rivers and valleys of water underneath. It's like pretty amazing. Anyway, so we're out there in the desert, and there's no trees, no rocks, no landmarks of any kind. And it's like this guy's got a GPS in his head. He stops, he goes to his knees, he starts digging in the ground, and he pulls out a red plastic Samsonite suitcase. Pulls it out, opens it up, and there's like twigs and string and all this colored stuff and feathers, and he takes a handful of this colored stuff and he urinates on it and makes a paste, and he makes a mask of his face. Sticks feathers in it and all kinds of things, and he's an animal. And then he goes into state, he does corroborate, and he turns into an animal. And then he takes the sticks and ties them together with a string, and it turns into an animal. And then he does ceremony. He's a bird and it's a snake, and he does the dance. And anyway, I take my 16 millimeter Bolex camera and film it and send, and I have a changing bag, and I have metal lead cans and then lead bags. And when the guy comes by, I give it to him and send it back to the home office. Anyway, so one day, these guys, show up in Land Rover. Did they give us Land Rover? No, my wife and I, we had to take a bus. But these guys show up in this big caravan of vehicles and tents and equipment and everything. And he basically stops, sets up camp, and says, okay, so how did you fake that film? I'm out in the middle. There's no sinks, no dark room, no nothing. I'm sleeping. I don't even have a tent. They didn't even give me a tent. I'm sleeping on a Mickey, a Walt Disney child's sheet. My wife was sleeping on one, and there's bugs there. If they bite you, you're dead in 3 minutes. So we had to eat what they did, because the only thing that would cause a bug to eat you is if you were eating a cheeseburger or Coke, or the bugs were unbelievable. I mean, they would eat you alive, but because we ate what the tribe was eating, the bugs didn't bite us. Well, the white folks, brought their cheeseburgers and candy bars and soda pop with them, and they were being eaten alive by the bugs. 2 of the guys got bit by things that they had to be flown out of there. Anyway, so the guy was very pissed because I was basically, meaning, he said, oh, their children, well, these guys had a written language, and it was etched on what was known as an iron tree. They cut it in 4 pieces, and each season they would etch who was born, who died, what happened, this, that. And these guys showed me the library, and I photographed and filmed I photographed a lot of ceremony, a lot of these things where the guy turns into an animal and the sticks turn into an animal. And I'd start filming from the moment, so, okay, well, here we are. And he'd be on his knees and start digging the ground. And we found 8 corroborees, and I placed them on a top map because they're supposed to be kept from, being messed with when they were mining. Well, this jerk-off, who was the guy who knew everything about this tribe, he came back and dug, using the top map I had, he dug up all those Samsonite suitcases and tried to bring it back and say, but they were just sticks and string, and feathers. And he lost his head of the department. He lost, tried to write a book about it from the stuff I sent him, and he was laughed out of existence. And, the people who in the government sent me there knew what the story was. And when we went back to Canterbury, 8, 9 months later, when we took the bus around there, they did a great job, kid. This is, we're keeping this stuff, blah, 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 and we'll take care of these people. Right? Well, they did. They killed them. And little baby Jesus, too. And that's Australia for you. But, and the old guy who was my teacher, who I went and, he had the big cowboy hat, and he told me about everything that was going to happen, and that he, I kept the negatives of all that stuff, so I had that until my father threw it away. But he said that none of this matters. He said when they killed the other member, We live in dream time, right? We you know, don't exist in this linear experience that you guys run yourselves by clocks. You know, we don't have that. So none of this matters. And though he stole everything, blew up everything, killed everyone, doesn't matter. And I experienced that for 8 months with those guys. So talk about doing LSD every day. And they're still with me. Meaning there was a place, I told you, so in your library, there's that one door to the right. Well, there's 8 more doors. And one of those doors in my library goes straight to those guys, you know. And again, if you go to xratted.spot.com, I have a story about the whole ball of wax of that. There's I think 7 cuts, so there's 7 storylines that are all pretty wow. Like I said, it's Keys to the Kingdom. It's all metaphor. A number of you have read them, read 1 or 2 of them, and gone, wow, this is I had to read it like 10 times, but wow, right? And they're getting that. Ooh, this is like the keys, just like in the, when Al was in the library at Trinity and he met the old Crone, So anyway, I think man-made and Father's Prayer. Yep, Father's Prayer is divine. That's why I keep you. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. Aho. Now, I know that. I don't know any other. I mean, I've learned so many prayers being in the seminary, being a Lubinowitz scholar. No. Only prayer that's like tattooed on my brain is that one. Because, like you said, it's divine. The rest are just advertisements. Okay, what else are we saying here? Let's heal. Dream time. Yep, I got you there. Some game. Let's see if we can open those 9 doors. You each. So we're going to do this. So we go into dream time. You have to go in your Akashic record, and the door to your superconscious mind will be open, right? And the other 9 doors will not appear until it's ready for you, right? So, if you want another door, prepare yourself. But remember, it's like, you want the president behind door number 1, 2, or 3? Meaning, you don't know what you're going to get till you open that door. So you got to kind of prepare yourself for good, bad, or ugly, right? And to suspend your disbelief so you don't get freaked out, upset, pissed off, whatever, right? Okay. So, let's see. Oops. So, okay. Relax. Don't cross anything. Take that big 20% breath in. 30% out. And what this meditation is the preparation. We're going to go to bed or lie down, or, since we're all over the time zone, I myself am going to bed. But you guys, whatever, if you're beddy by time, go to bed. If you are, can take 5-10 minutes to go into state and look for the door. So, okay. Now prepare yourself, put yourself in a state that you can be there. Okay. Lying down here. And the Blarney has stones. This is true. That's why I'm a griot. I got the stories. Okay. And one conscious mind is in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. A little monkey in your mind has left the building. The squirrel has stopped running in its cage. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're taking the prana that you're breathing into your lungs, and you're energizing every cell of your body. And you're using that energy to illuminate your subconscious mind. And it's not a scary place. It's simply a library of your Akashic record. Go there now. And you walk in, and you sit down, and your librarian brings your Akashic record to you. You open it up and put both hands on one hand on one page, one on the other. And you empty out all anxiety, all fear, all angst, all disbelief, all negative feelings, thoughts of any type. And from this point on, your words to yourself and to all around are only blessed, positive co-creation of love. See it clearly. And you push yourself up out of your chair and you close the book, and boom, all the negative everything is in the book. And you turn to the left and you give a bow of gratitude and grace to your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel. And they will harmonically be with you in vibration as you turn 180 from them and walk towards your open door. Now stop when you're about 20 feet before the door, and you look to the left, and if there's another door there, walk to it and open it up. And again, see the illumination of the prana in your elevated soul in your imaginary mirror, and you take that light and you illuminate what's on the other side of that door. And now walk into it. And I'm going to be quiet for a period of time. And it will be long enough, whatever it takes, for you to explore this space so you can see what it is, that you can be comfortable what you're experiencing. And you may not get 100% of it, but you'll get enough that you will be able to easily come back through the door and go to this space and use it for your best and highest self in love's co-creation. See that clearly. I'm going to be quiet now. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation, no longer in your body. You have left this state of being in the linear, and you have crossed through your imaginary mirror to your Akashic record. You have discharged all the negative energy in your body into your Akashic record. At another time, you can go back
and look it over and have the perspective of your record to see what was going on there. But you have illuminated yourself once again through your breath and taken the illumination of your imaginary mirror and shined it into the open door of the second door. Not the door, not the first door that goes to your superconscious mind, but this door that has taken you to a new place of understanding, recognition, and a very large forward step of the ascension of your consciousness. See it clearly. I am now going to be quiet again, and you will have as much time as you need, weeks, months, years, to explore more thoroughly. But still, you won't come to a total realization. You will become more and more comfortable, more and more connected, and more awake to what this space has to offer you. See it clearly. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You are no longer in your body. You are in that space on the other side of the second door. See it clearly. Take a 360 turn about. Look at each degree of your view. Collate all of that you have experienced in the days, weeks, months, and years that you have been in this space. And like you're using a walkie-talkie, you are transmitting all that you have experienced back to your Akashic record. And it'll be waiting there on a screen that you will be easily able to pull up, and you can look at everything that you have experienced on the other side of the door. And through the 28 other little screens around the big screen, you will get an angle that will give you further insight. And if you need any further information, your librarian will bring it to you. If you need any perspective from your animal totem, it will be given to you through a story that your animal totem will tell you. And you will never have to fear any of the information that you have experienced, because your guardian angel always has your back. So see this clearly. And I'm going to take another quiet moment for you to take it all in, right? So it's fresh. So when you go to sleep tonight, no matter whatever time zone you're in, you will dream about what we just did. And the night after that, you will dream about it. And the night after that, you will dream about it. And if you need to come out of the second door and then go back through the first door to your sanctuary of your own choosing, to relive it from the perspective of your love's co-creation and your sanctuary of your own choosing, you can do that too. And or if you want to go back to the Akashic record and look at it on the screen with the 28 other dimensions of perspective and the insights of your librarian bringing you further information, your animal totem telling you more stories, and your guardian angel always keeping you safe. See it clearly. Now turn around and walk back through the door into your library. Walk over to your guides and bow again, respectfully with grace. First to your librarian, see your librarian clearly. Then to your animal totem, see your animal totem clearly. Then to your guardian angel. And feel that safety and love and respect from all of your guides and all of love's co-creation. See it clearly. And I'm going to count 2 and 1. And you're back here now. Back in your body. You're awake. And we're going to chat a little bit about what you guys experienced. Okay. So, anybody want to chime in first and tell us what you experienced? What your door was? Door number 2. And what you saw and what you felt? Can any of you tell me what your librarian, animal totem, and guardian angel kind of look like? Or what you felt from them? Come on back, guys. Oh, there you are. That's the green field. Okay. What did you get from the green field? Jackson, I want to go back to Jackson, Tennessee. That's right. Gil, my man. He was a great saint. The father of hip-hop and rap, Gil Scott Heron. Standing in the gap. Well, you know, I've lived in 2 Buddhist monasteries, and I can always go there through the 3rd and 4th door of my Akashic record. Everything floats. Was it a liquid floating, or you just didn't have gravity? Yep, mental, acuity, yeah. Yep, there's good and bad in all music, yep. But every form of music has good and bad, meaning there's good rap music, bad rap music, good classical music, bad classical music, good heavy metal, bad, not too much good heavy metal, but there is some. Was an elf. Was an owl. Angels, more colors. Too much to really go into. It's on a floating island. Okay, as long as you keep this stuff vivid and you can go back to it, that's all that counts. And you know, we got a lot of time to talk about all of this stuff, and it's a lot easier if we're all like kneecap to kneecap in a circle. It's really fun to do this in a sweat, because when you're in a sweat, boy, it's, you know, I remember being in sweats with my Hopi older grandfather David, and he put me through the ringer because he said, I got to teach you 30 years of stuff in 4 months. So we did all the ceremony, and man, we did, you know, sweats at least 5 times a week. And I'm talking about, think of the hottest steam bath or sauna you've ever been, and then multiply it by 10, And that was this thing. Now, I would never do that to you guys, but he did it to me. And, but, I would definitely put you in a sweat lodge that was warmer than, your basic sauna. But not by much, but just enough to really wake you up. And it puts you in did you have a vision? That's what he would, did you have a vision? Oh, no, grandfather. Okay, throw another stone. You know, I could never lie to him. If I said, "Oh yes, I'm ready to get out of here. Yes, I had a vision." No, throw on another stone. You know, but we will, and and the more we do this, we will do this even like this. I mean, it's really very sweet and nice to do it with people in the sweat lodge, especially when we build it together. It's nothing, you come and we build a sweat lodge together, then you guys know how to make a sweat lodge. And you can do it anywhere. It's ceremony is the same thing. We do ceremony together, and yeah, like a hologram. We're doing it now like it's a hologram. Good. Now I know what it is. Exactement. We're all particles. Oh, yes. Sweat lodge and mud baths. Good. Do, 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 do. That sounds very beautiful. Just the ride. Field, tree line, river bends. I can see it when I close my eyes, I see it. And I can taste the air. You're feeling your chi when your bare feet hit the earth. Of course, you're going to talk to anybody you want. The elders love to talk, love to give information. They're there. That's what they're there for. They love you guys. They love all of us. We're all our relations. Appropriate. Everything's appropriate when done with grace and respect. That's all. You can do whatever you want, just grace and respect. I love new land. Melts in your mouth, yeah. Pastry. Croissant. I love croissants. Well, you gotta have with a good croissant, you need fresh cream butter, marmalade or whatever you like, and amazing coffee, and maybe a little anisette. And nothing can get stuck in your throat with all of that. Apple fritter. I love apple fritters. Flaky. Yep. Anybody's good butterbeer. Oh, yes. See, we're all talking about ambrosia. Well, buddy, you're going to have to cook something for me. That's for sure. Territory. If you're blessed by the tribe, you are not an outsider. You are a belonger. You just showed up. That's all. It's like the Wallamajiri. They knew I was coming before I even got on the airplane. Ambrosia Jones. Jane, doesn't your name mean ambrosia? Again, blessings come with grace and gratitude. They are things that are always there for you. How can I cleanse negative energy and people from me? Sage is a great beginning. It's the first good, first step. But going into your Akashic record and putting it into the book, that's how it sucks it. Like when I had you, put both your hands on the 2 blank pages, it sucks it out of you like a vacuum cleaner. You don't have to, it just sucks it right out. All the negativity, all the trauma, all the fear, all the angst, all the anxiety, all of that gets sucked right out of you and put right in the book. And then you take the front of the book, the big lead, the cover, and boom, close the book. Now all of that is in the book, and you can go back and look at it and say, oh, well, that, you get a perspective. Say, oh, that's what that was about. Oh, and it's not that bad. I can deal with that. God, loves unconditional co-creation, doesn't give us anything we can't handle. And again, illumination, which way to put the flashlight can be, if it's coming out of your eyes and you're seeing it, that's one thing. Doing things for other people, it gets more tricky. It gets into deeper math, that's for sure. So the best thing you can do is just be that pebble in the pond, visualize being in those little ripples going over all those folk, and you're leading by example. Yep, the Creator's gracious gift. You got it, kid. White sage. Yep, I love white sage. That is my ghost friend. Thank you very much. I love you. Yep. Flaky sage therapy. Yep. Can't beat sage. First step, can't beat it. That was basically a portal, and these portals are everywhere, and but they don't always stay open, and then there's just a bunch of rocks, right? And what opens it up is the energy of your love. If you can tune, because under where all these portals are, there are ley lines, and if you can tune yourself to ley line, then you can, be part of the portal. You can go through the portal. You go wherever that bunch of rocks takes you. And that was Finhorn. That's the amazing. Finhorn is one of those places on this planet that doesn't shut down, no matter how grumpy people are. I think the other interesting thing is they can't be grumpy, And there's a place called Tasmania in Australia. It's an island, and it's where the most amazing Aborigines were, until and the white people couldn't kill them. They would go to shoot them, and before they could pull the trigger, they'd be gone. So what did the white people did was they burned a whole friggin' island, except for the Yum Pines, and forced that tribe of Aborigines Avatar into a corner, and then they shot them all in the head. And when I was there, in the Museum of Natural History, they had the last Tasmanian Aborigine stuffed, and it was a mother, and she was holding her stuffed baby, and it had a bullet hole in its head, and half the head of the baby was made out of Play-Doh because whoever shot the mother in the head hit the baby in the head with an axe. And that was the last two of that tribe. And they were the highest, most ascended beings. So, they left their avatar. They didn't die. They stayed. And so if you went to, I'm sure it's still this way, everyone in Tasmania is like artists and people who weave. And the only business they have there is sheep. And they shear the sheep and knit hats and sweaters and stuff, and that's it. That's all they do, and they're just happy little people. And and if you're an angst mad person, you have the dream where you are the woman getting shot in the head. And I tell you from experience, that's not a happy dream to have. Before someone told me about the dream, my wife and I went there, and we were kind of angst out, and we never argued, and we argued there. And then we went to sleep, and we couldn't wake up, but we were totally conscious. We both dreamt we were that woman getting shot in the head like hundreds of times. It just kept repeating and repeating. And when we woke up the next morning, every muscle in our body was sprained. We could barely walk, and we kind of crawled downstairs, and the woman, soul Grammy woman who was our hostess, she looked at us, and we were like gray and looked like vomit. And she smiled and looked at us and said, "Oh, you had the dream." I should have told you about it before. When I saw that you were going to argue, I should have told you. I'm sorry. So, you can't really tell anybody anything. Grace for 4 meals, exactement. That's why we do it, because we tune up the food that we eat. That's what grace is there for. And, the all-purpose prayer to always use is, the simple one is aho, right? That's from the Aircorn Nation, meaning bless all our relations, aho. And it kind of translates, virtually every indigenous person has a similar thing, and it all kind of sounds like aho. It's interesting that way, because it's of a certain frequency there, and it cleans your food. But the Our Father is really a good one. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Yes, the Cherokee were in Roanoke, and the pile of stones were by the Cherokee. The Cherokee were an amazing nation. And the Cherokee, the little hamlet of the Cherokee Nation in Cherokee, North Carolina. I went to North Carolina first to do an ethnography for those guys, because they were the only American Indians that had a written language. And me and this woman, we spent almost a year putting all of that stuff. We collated it, put it in a database, put it on floppy disks. What's pure evil? What about 10 Hail Marys? Hail Marys are cool. I like Hail. That's another good prayer. Our Father and Hail Mary are two good prayers. Come on, Jane. What's pure evil? Can't be the Cherokee and Roanoke, because the Cherokee weren't evil. What white people did to them, yes, that was evil. But again, the Cherokee, when I talked to the elders in Tennessee of the Cherokee, and a few of the Cherokee that were here, because the Cherokee here in Roanoke married black people and kind of hid in plain sight. And they basically felt sorry for the white people. Alive. Oh, what's that? Let's see. Rise says, evil is greater than live backwards. I'm still missing it. Views polarity again. Nothing can be evil or bad if done with grace and gratitude. It's the sage of energy work. Energy crunchers. Again, to be more specific, same with inverted cross. Well, that's why I told you not to cross any part of your body, your fingers, your legs, you're supposed to. But again, these are things that almost don't matter because they are being taken from the perspective of the linear illusion world. The illusion world that we live in is hell. It's the land of hate. Boo. You guys, are you kidding me? You're all pulling my leg. I know you are. You're trying to pull the leg of your old sensei here. And if you're feeling any of this angst here that you're talking about, guys, it's only the illusion trying to pull you back. The illusion of hate is trying to throw you off the path that you just experienced, and when you were coming out of it and you were explaining it was like blissful and beautiful and nice, and now you're kind of, yeah, I've had a good deal of it, Yes, that's so good, like that. I once floated through the roof of the car while sleeping and flew around for a good while. Yep. So, and that's what sleep paralysis is, that you're waking up, when, I have you breathe that 20% and then you leave your body. That's sleep paralysis, but you're more conscious, so it's not freaking you out. And you got your Sensei Bob here, giving you a little guided tour. Forgiveness is one of the most sacred, graceful things. And it's like the push me, pull you. You forgive yourself, you forgive everyone else. It's like we're in a constant ring of forgiveness once you start forgiving. And that's what, as one of the, it's like a cyclotron. Forgiveness is like the spiritual cyclotron. And that's what helps us elevate ourselves in ascension. Oh, okay. Yes, Tasmania was, but it was so strong. The beauty of it was so strong, no matter what those morons did. So here's a good story. So how I went to Tasmania was, so when I went to Australia and Pan Am lost our everything and my wife was bummed. Again, if you go read, xrated.blogspot.com, you'll get all the details. So we were stuck in Australia. We had no work, we had no money, we had no clothes, we had no nothing. We had my friend Neil, and we could stay at he and his girlfriend Leslie's house, and they loved us, and we loved them. And Neil knew everybody. Like I knew everyone in New York, he knew everyone in Australia. And he had juice like I had juice. So he had a buddy of his that was an electrical engineer, because Neil, his grandfather came from England as a rocket scientist and worked at, Alice Springs. And so, anyway, so he got me this gig working for this electrical engineering firm that did really gigantic, dams and transmission lines. So I did that stuff. I could do it in my sleep. But everyone who worked there wore, engineering clothes, meaning black pants, white shirt, black tie, plastic pen holder, and their slide rule on their hip. And I wore, I had long hair to my butt, cowboy hat, mirrored sunglasses, Hawaiian shirt, lime green shorts that went to my knees, flip flops, or cowboy boots, depending, and my briefcase. Everyone had a briefcase, and I had a woman's gigantic handbag made of plastic buttons that made the picture of a kangaroo, and it said Australia, and that was my briefcase. And I would come to work, and I'd have my sandwich in there and my whatever I needed for work, and I just blew these poor guys' minds, and they would be like, working the equations to the 19th zero, and I would just take it to the third one, and I wouldn't need a slide rule. I could do it in my head or on the blackboard, and they would freak out. And I said, listen, we're working. We're not at school anymore. We're working on hardware. They call these field experiments because we do them in the field. And if you are aligning a coil in a transformer, you don't have to take it to the 19th zero. The third one does just good enough. And so the guy who owned this place loved my ass because I was like, But after about the third week, he says, Al, you can't stay here. I go, what? Aren't I doing it? He said, no, you're doing a great job. But I got a better thing for you to do. And he goes, I think you'll really like this. And I go, well, what's that? He goes, well, you're driving all those guys insane, right? They're about to commit suicide. They're fidgeting. I mean, I go, yeah, I'm kind of enjoying doing that to them because they're such jerks. And he goes, yes, I understand. But you're way more valuable. And I go, well, what are you going to use me for? He goes, well, we do these big projects, and we get these big checks, but we never get our last check because the people we work for always have a big punch list that we can never finish. They always add something else, and I never get that last check. So I'm going to have you be the punch list guy because all the guys we do the work for are like these guys, black pants, white shirts, black tie. You'll drive them insane. You will force them to give me that check I want. And because of that, he gives me an envelope with 5,000 Australian dollars. And he goes, whenever you need another one of these envelopes, just come and see me. And whenever I need you, I'll call you a week before and I'll send you up on the project. You probably won't last more than 3 or 4 days before they can't stand it anymore and they will give me the check just to get rid of you. So that was my job. My best paying job in Australia was that. The other jobs I did, I worked for the Avant-Garde Theatre of Australia. I started to help Punch Hawks do the Circus Oz, wired lots of people's stuff, and, I went off and lived with the Aborigines. So that was my best fun job, spiritually touched my heart. And working for the engineer guy, I made, nice little envelope every month or two. I could take, one time I needed some money for something, and I went to see him 3 times in 1 week. I mean, he was happy because, man, the checks he was getting were like 100 times bigger than that envelope. So I was like the goose that laid the golden egg for that guy. I've always worked for people who needed me more than I needed them. And what's happened is, for some reason, that little pump of the golden goose is I'm still living like a millionaire. It's not a problem. I'm meant to do this instead of the other stuff. But where I'm leading you to is the story of Tasmania. This is what you were picking up there, Miss Jane, about the true evil. So how we get to go there is we went there once to visit Neil's aunt who lived there, who was such a sweet lady, right? That's when Don and I had the dream and when we argued. But the second time I went by myself, and Donna was teaching up at in Sydney, and I went all the way to Tasmania. This guy sent me because the U.S. Defense Department had built a hydro dam in the Gordon Ridge, which is where this big lake river is, and they had flooded this ravine where they built the dam, and they flooded the Yum pines, which are the oldest living creature on the planet. They're like 1,000 years old, and these trees make the redwood look like toothpicks. And they were unbelievably. When I went there the first time, they hadn't flooded the ridge, so I'd seen that forest because it was amazing. These things were like, 800 feet tall, and this, size of. They were like skyscrapers, and it was a whole forest full of them. Anyway, a year or so later, when I went there, after coming back from the Aborigines, I am flown into where the Gordon Ridge is on a helicopter, right? And they have flooded it. And it looks like a gigantic lake with little Christmas trees. The 800-foot trees, the only thing that you could see is a 20-foot top of the tree. That means those trees were flooded by 800 feet of water. I mean, that tree, at 800 feet depth of water, that's like 20,000 psi. Those trees were being crushed with 20,000 psi, but they were so big, it was going to take 100 years for those trees to die. And they were, when I flew over it, I almost threw up because I wasn't, a psychic, but I could feel the trees screaming, right? And I land there, and the site was like straight out of, it looked like something from 2001: A Space Odyssey mixed with a James Bond thriller, and this is where the secret bad guys were, and they were the secret bad guys. So Tasmania is only 800 miles to the South Pole, to the Antarctic, and or the South Pole. And not the Antarctic, but the South Pole, the other side there. Anyway, and I'm looking at this thing, and the Tasmania I knew from the sheep herders and, my friend Neil's aunt, there were about, 3,200 people that lived on that island, and they were painters and artists and, shepherds, not any, there was no industry, no nothing, right? And so I get there, and they bring me underground, and it is like, whoa! It's like I said, something out of a James Bond movie. And the first thing I said, what the fuck is this place? And it's a hydroelectric power for the economic benefit of Tasmania. I said, what are you guys nuts? No, please. There's no aluminum smelters. There's nothing here. This thing had enough juice to light up a city of 1 million people easy. And it was really state of the art because it was solid state DC rather than AC. And it was harmonically controlled. That's why they had me there to check out these transformers and see if they were, done right. That was part of the punch list. And so this stuff could be transmitted Tesla-wise, a good 1,000 miles, which is where the South Pole was, about 800 miles. And so I'm constantly going, what the fuck is this thing, And, they're all in kind of 2001 version of the black pants, white shirt, black tie, and plastic pen holder. And the light is coming from light fixtures I can't even see. I mean, it was just totally... And I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt, mirrored sunglasses, cowboy hat, and cowboy boots, and lime green shorts, and I'm just constantly, look at that. What the, Anyway, as I'm going through this process and through the punch list, and they're being really serious about the punch list, and I'm just going, what the fuck is this place? And then I go, the only thing this can be used for, you are powering a Tesla weapon at the South Pole that's, engaged to the center of the Earth. It's a pulse generator, to transmit umpteen trillion Teslas to any point on Earth to either power something or destroy it. And half the really guys who have the nice suits and not just the black pants, white shirt, and black ties. The guys dressed in the cheap shit kind of look at each other and go, huh? But the guys in the nice suits look at me and go, who are you? Where are you from? Let me see your security clearance, you know? And that's when they take, these guards come over and kind of lift me up and carry me into a room and lock me in. No, you know, it was like 12 by 12 room with two chairs and a metal table and a light shining in my face, and they locked the door behind me, you know, and there's a window that's glass, you know, I know there's someone on the other side. I get up and I start, you know, playing bongos on the mirrored window. Anyway, and then I start playing bongos on the metal table, and then this guy comes in, and he is dressed to the nines. He looks like Santa Claus, but with a good tan and trim and a $2,000 suit. And he knows everything about me. Everything about, I mean, everything, you know, everything. And he goes, Al, we have just discovered you have, and I had gotten a visa to stay in Australia for 6 months. And I had been there pushing 4 years and done all, you know, worked and done all kinds of crazy things. But virtually all of my employment had been for the government of Australia. So the guy goes, you know, you've been here for almost 4 years. You totally outlasted your visa. You know, you've broken all of these laws. You were here doing martial law and you did this, this, and this. And you've been working the whole time and you made this much money and you haven't paid any tax. You know, he just went on and on and on about every law I had broken. And I go, wait a minute. You know all this shit? Well, then you know the whole time I was here, I worked for you. He goes, yes, 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 we know that. And we're not accusing you of anything. Of course, he accused me of all this stuff. And he goes, but you've been here too long. It's time for you to go. And I said, really? And because I had been trying to get out of Australia for a good year. My wife was going nuts. She wanted to get out, go back to New York. But we had no money. We were just constantly making enough money to have a good time and travel around and do stuff, but not enough to get an airplane ride or have a stake to get back into New York. So he goes, yes, you'll have to leave. And I go, okay, that's cool. And he goes, when do you want to leave? And I go, well, when do I have to leave? And he goes, anytime you want to leave. And I said, okay, it's going to take me a few weeks to a couple of months to get all my business in line, and I'm going to need some money. And he goes, not a problem. And out of his inside pocket, he puts an envelope on the metal desk, and I open it up, and instead of just 5 grand, there's 10 grand in there, you know? And I go, okay. And he goes, here is my card with the phone number. And, you know, this is 1977. They really didn't have, you know, cell phones. But he goes, this is my direct phone. You'll get me right away. I go, really? Okay. He goes, need anything? You got a problem? Just call me up. And I said, okay. And he goes, well, we're going to go now. I said, where? Yeah, you and me. And I said, okay. And so we, you know, take the helicopter from there. And instead of like taking the ferry and the bus and the train, we get into his little Learjet at the airport. And he flies me straight to Melbourne. Just right. We get out, nice little limousine, waits, you know, drives us. He goes, you hungry? Let's go get something to eat. Takes me to a nice, like, I think that's called the Coachman, which is where all the politicians hung out. You know, and I'm still wearing my Hawaiian shirt, cowboy hat, mirrored sunglasses, and lime green. And he's got the $3,000 suit and the Italian shoes. And he looks like a thin, well-tanned Santa Claus. Kind of like me now, but a little thinner and a little more tan. And we have a very nice conversation about a lot of different stuff. And he drives me back to my friend's. He doesn't drive. We're in a limousine. And it's got the little flags of the government on it. And he drops me off there. And my friend kneels on the porch. And he nearly falls off the porch, you know. And I get out of the car. And I walk. And he goes, you just left. I thought you were going to be away a week. I said, yeah, well, some things change. So I tell him the story, and I said, you can't tell anybody because this guy just made me swear not to tell anyone. But he must have known I was going to tell you. But Neil, you really can't tell anyone. But Neil was a political cartoonist. Of course, he put it in his freaking cartoon. Anyway, so I spent about 3 or 4 months. We had a lot of money. I mean, a guy kept calling, you need some more money? And Donna loved having a lot of money. And we, did a lot of fun things for about 3 or 4 months, had parties with all our friends. And he takes us, when we give him the date, he picks us up at Neil's in the limousine. He drives us straight to the international airport, and we go onto the tarmac, and we go up these little stairs. We don't even go through the airport or go through nothing. And our bags are put in the airplane, and we are in like presidential class. It's a 747, and we're in the nose, and we're like with 10 other people, and our seats go back like beds. And as we get on the airplane, they give us these little like bags with creams and masks and slippers and a robe, and I mean, really frigging first class. and we fly from Sydney. We fly from Sydney or Melbourne, I forget which, but from their international airport, and we go to Hawaii. And again, we're met, and we're wined and dined and put in a nice hotel. We stay at a long weekend, maybe even a week, and then we fly to L.A. And it's hell because the airport's on strike, and it's just nuts, and it was amazing. But that's how we got back from Florida. And Jane, you were right 100%. It was like frigging hell. Okay, come on. Let's see. Duality, evil love. Typo, evil love. Devil. Again, guys, you're going to have to work through this one because there I was in the seat of the most evil, disgusting, terrible thing. And I, instead of ending up as, fertilizer, I got lots of money, treated, wined and dined. And when I got on that 747, right, and we were in presidential class, I kind of, it's a freaking 18-hour flight from Australia to Hawaii. And I, took a walk, I came down the stairs from the upstairs part of the 747 where we were, and strolled through the airplane. And I went back to steerage, and there was this group of 7 Aborigines guys, and they were all in cowboy, really soup to nuts cowboy outfits, and they smiled at me. This one guy rolled up his sleeve, and he had 10 wristwatches on his wrist. And I kept bumping as we traveled back. I kept, like when we went to Hawaii, I met these guys again. And when we were in LA, when it was like total chaos, and then I got on a plane to go to New York just by the skin of my chinny chin chin, and they were on that. And I land in New York, and I've been away for almost 4 years, and I go to the loft that I had rented out to a guy, and for some reason he wasn't there, but the door, my keys still worked, the electricity was still on. I got there, my phone still worked. I called up my rabbi and said, hey, I'm back, and he goes, oh, the guy who's, he's no longer there, you can stay there, so it was like I left yesterday. And I just cruised back in. I called up my buddy Lucy Lepard, who started this thing called Printed Matter, and we used to do this thing on the landfill in front of the World Trade Center called Art on the Beach. And she goes, oh, you're back. Listen, hey, it's amazing. I've booked these Aborigines guys to come do this thing they call a coabri on the beach. And that was the 7 little Aborigines guys that I flew back from Australia. Anyway, so, when I walked to the beach, they were there, just standing there. The crowd hadn't showed up. They saw me. They laughed. They smiled. The guy with the watches was relatively well educated and spoke very well. The other guys, And I've been hanging out with tribal folk Aborigine for a year, so I knew all the lingo. So and they knew me. It was like all the gypsies I know, all the Romas know me. No matter what part of the world I go, and I run into Romas, hey, Al, how you doing? And that's with these guys. And that was my full, the full circle of the journey. So, and I talked to them about Tasmania and what that was. And you guys, you're picking it up 100% about, the duality of good and evil, da 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 da. And they were going on about when you are in dream time, there is no good or evil because there is no linear time. And that's why the guy had 10 watches on, as like, to keep an eye on the linear time. And so you guys hit it right on the head. We did this nice little shamanic ceremony, which is pretty amazing to do. I mean, this what I did with you guys, I've never done over the phone. And you guys really, I can, and I'm sensing all your energies, and you're experiencing, and you're having all the right questions, all the right doubts. You know, uh, Jane, none of you feel bad about what you're feeling because what you are, your chakras are open, and you're feeling all of these things at the same time, not in a linear way, right? So you are ascending, gang. You're stepping up. Yep. And the gold is the currency of our ascension. Why do you think I got a beard? It's my little antennas. Again, but they're like, bad car salesmen. Those guys. There's a pretty interesting movie made a year or two or three ago. It's a cowboy movie um, with the guy. Who's that guy who played Indiana Jones and Han Solo? Anyway, he's a rich cattle guy from the Civil War. It's just after the Civil War, and our hero is one of the 007 guys, more recent ones. And they're out there in the woods, and it's just after the Civil War. It's like the latter, 1880s. And, the railroads hadn't hit yet, and things are still, kind of, not really, zinging in a linear way. And this guy's out in the middle of nowhere, and yeah, people have to worry somewhat about the Indians, but they've already, gotten put down, and so they're not really warring. But you piss them off, they'll kill you, and then the army will come and kill all their children. So, they're kind of okay with it. They say over there, we say over here, and our heroes, these guys come in, and he he's trying to go straight with because he loves this woman. He has a kid with her, and he's running a gang, and they're robbing the bank and the this and the that, and they're really good at it. So no one kind of figures out that he's doing it, and the other guys are doing the shooting and the killing and the beating and the robbing, and he because he plans it out, he gets his cut. So he's got a big chunk of gold, and he's gonna go with his wife to some place where really nobody knows him, and they can start a real brand new life. And then all of a sudden, he gets abducted by aliens, and it's these aliens who are totally bloodthirsty for gold. So has anyone seen that movie? I have no idea what it's called or who made it, but it was made about. But it was really excellent because it's like super duper, really great, like a Ford kind of cowboy movie with super duper crazed alien gangsters. I really, and they're like reptiles, right? So it's pretty interesting film, and it's everything you guys. It's like this. movie has gotten into your subconscious because you're talking about aliens want gold, you know. Well, and we are the aliens who want gold. Where is he now? I have no idea. Everyone needs to visit Australia. Really true. It's a long airplane ride, and don't go there just for a weekend. If you go there, you got to stay there. I stayed there almost 4 years. You got to stay there for a while because it's a big place. Really, not that many people, but it is the tip of the racist imperial spear of England. It really, I mean, like I was there for 4 years, and they had two versions of martial law. It was unbelievable. I mean, that's what that place. I mean, the guys would just come, and the guys in the uniforms would just come and get you. And what was truly amazing, I was doing all this crazy shit. All of my friend was the biggest, baddest political, you know, comic strip guy. I mean, he had a comic strip, How to Draw Al, and he made my head look like a rugby ball with a beard on it. Because when we were in the midst of martial law, you couldn't say anything bad about the government. So he used to make, political cartoon. He'd have all the politicians look like, you know, bellbirds and koala bears and stuff like that, and basically have them do the most corrupt shit. Well, anyway, when martial law came out, he couldn't do that, right? So there's his living. So he did it, but he did it like animal form. So he didn't put the politician's face on the animals. He just had generic those animals. But the only human was me, with my head shaped like a rugby ball, and I was like that ball was floating around, and so I would say all this. I had no body, so they couldn't blame it. It's this guy's got a rugby head. And I would say things, that I would normally say when I was just hanging out at his house talking about stuff. And it was truly amazing because, like I said, that guy with the white hair at the dam, he knew everything I had said, done, been. I'm sure they had our house tapped. But I never got bothered. And I was, since I hung out with these Aborigines, I was very attached to these people. And I went in the middle of martial law. I went in the capital. We marched, for Aboriginal rights, and they basically machine gunned everyone. I mean, not literally, but I mean, people died, and they beat the crap out of everyone, and everyone was hosed and saturated in the nastiest of chemicals. And I was standing there with my old Aborigines. Sensei, teacher, cowboy, whatever you call him, and and neither of us got touched. It was like that scene out of Little Big Man when Dustin Hoffman and his grandfather, who's blind, the army comes and kills everyone, all his family, his wife, his kids, and he and the old guy survived. And me and the old Aborigines guy, we didn't get touched. I mean, these clouds of tear gas where everyone was choking didn't even touch us. Fire hose shot over our heads. It was like quite a friggin' amazing thing. Harrison Ford, that's the guy. Yep. Now, how about the name of the movie? No, not Crocodile Dundee. It was a sci-fi movie. See, what's his name thought it was funny. Love Disco. Anyway, so there's still 8 of us here. And we've talked for, what's this? 3,746 minutes. Somehow I think that's wrong. So I think it's time. So it's 37:56. How about we say goodnight at 40:40, right? So that's about 2 minutes from now. So that was pretty fun. See, everyone gets better and better. We are doing great here. The cadre is amazing. You know, we are one heck of a bunch of adepts. I think all of you have definitely graduated from Padawan to Adept. Oh, Crocodile Dundee definitely wasn't. It was a cartoon version of what do they call a guy with a bully bong and out there in the outback. Yeah, as we're at it, you can heal every joint in my body. I'm like a squeaky hinge. So, okay, Jane, you and I are connecting ourselves right now, right? And everyone else start lifting up the energy, and Jane and I are like two mirrors, and you are bringing that energy up between the two mirrors. This is straight up Reiki 101, and Jane and I are bouncing the energy back and forth. You feel that, Jane? I can. I feel your shoulder. Okay. I'm working her shoulder, and I'm being the conduit from the middle of the two mirrors. Okay, it's 40 minutes and 6 seconds. Okay, taking my right arm, which is the source, and I am putting into that energy and using my palm as the mirror to Jane's shoulder and her forehead and her back and her traps and her knees. Because these are all the things that are making her shoulder hurt. 31, 32, 33, 34, 6. You're feeling amazingly well, Jane. I love you all. I feel amazingly well also. Thank you all. Catch you later. I love you. See you in the morning. I'll talk to you guys sometime between 8 and 9. Okay? That was great. Sweet dreams. I'm going to bed now. We can all meet at the cafe. Higher consciousness.